Chapter 988. Whether my intuition is wrong or not, it can be verified. The branch of the world knows best whether we were husband and wife in our past lives. If you really want to refute my idea, let the branch of the world decide. It has recorded everything in the past. I believe you will use it. As long as it can verify whether we were husband and wife in our past lives, I, Yen Chuan, will immediately turn around and leave. How about it? Yen Chuan said with a firm gaze. Looking at the branch of the world that Yen Chuan handed over, Zhao Feng frowned deeply. The atmosphere suddenly froze and Zhao Feng fell silent. Yes, as long as the branch of the world investigated, the truth would be revealed. But at this moment, Zhao Feng hesitated. After interacting with Yen Chuan, Zhao Feng had mixed feelings. At this moment, Zhao Feng did not know what he was thinking. Did he hope that Yen Chuan was right, or that Yen Chuan was wrong? You are the life usurper, use the branch of the world. Yen Chuan took a deep breath and said. Zhao Feng clenched his fist and trembled, but in the end he did not accept it. Do you know? Zhao Feng suddenly recalled. What? I actually came from the Immortal Realm. The Immortal Realm also has a celestial arcanum sect. This is just a branch. Zhao Feng took a deep breath and said. So what? Yen Chuan did not care. Zhao Feng smiled bitterly and said, I reincarnated with the memories of my past life. In my past life, I was a disciple of the celestial arcanum sect in the Immortal Realm. That is why I could reach my current level in such a short time. Moreover, once the God Creation Project begins, I will return. Yen Chuan frowned. These days you have told me these stories. Actually, I already knew that your past life did not belong to this world. You should have reincarnated from the Immortal Realm. Zhao Feng asked. Does it matter? Yen Chuan frowned. Zhao Feng shook his head and said, yes, but the conditions for the God-making plan are harsh. The celestial arcanum sect of this world, for the sake of their stubbornness, can only support the primordial bloodline and soul of this world. In other words, even if your soul is from the celestial world, you are not qualified to participate in the God-making plan even if you have the bloodline of this world. I don't really care about their God creation project, but if you use the world tree to infer that your soul came from the world of immortals, you will no longer have the right to participate in the God creation project. Yun Xan will discover it very soon, Zhao Feng said solemnly. Yen Chuan raised his eyebrows. If you persist, you will lose a great help. Zhao Feng said solemnly. At this point, Yen Chuan, who was standing by the side, laughed. What are you laughing at? Zhao Feng frowned. I'm happy because I realize that you're starting to believe me. You're starting to believe that you're Zhenro. Yen Chuan said, gratified. Zhao Feng raised his eyebrows in irritation. Yen Chuan took a deep breath and said, I understand what you're saying, but so what? I, Yen Chuan, am not going to compromise for a God creation project. I still insist. I hope that you can activate this world tree and prove what I said. Zhao Feng fell silent again. Zhao Feng had his own beliefs. Or rather, the celestial arcanum sect had long instilled in Zhao Feng's mind. However, Yen Chuan's appearance had impacted this belief and even destroyed it. Zhao Feng felt extremely close to Yen Chuan during this period of time. It was an indescribable feeling, as if the thing he desired the most had appeared. Chapter 989. Use the branch of the world? If he confirmed what Yen Chuan said, he would crumble. If he could not confirm what Yen Chuan said, he would lose the desire in his heart. For a moment, Zhao Feng did not dare to take it. He shook his head. Zhao Feng fell silent. Yen Chuan seemed to have seen through Zhao Feng's misgivings. He gently put away the branch of the world and said, I can see that you have misgivings and difficulties, but I will soon prove my resolve to you. I hope that when you see my resolve, you will accept everything I say. Proof? Zhao Feng frowned. Yen Chuan smiled faintly and didn't continue on this topic. Let's not talk about Zhenro. Let's talk about you. Do you have any wishes? Yen Chuan asked with a smile. Changing the topic made Zhao Feng feel much more at ease. At the very least, he had become much more open with Yen Chuan over the past few months. Wishes? My greatest wish is to see this colorful world, Zhao Feng said with a bitter smile. I can't see with my eyes. I use the mind's eye to see the world. Although I can see more clearly than others, there is no color. My world is black and white, cold and cheerless. Zhao Feng said with a bitter smile. No color? Haha, in truth, the most beautiful color is one's own emotions. Yen Chuan said with a smile. Emotions? Emotions are the creators of color. You might not have experienced it, but I believe that you will one day experience it. At that time, you will be able to see all the colors in the world. Yan Chuan consoled. Zhao Feng nodded, not quite understanding. Outside Fairy Palace, fog pervaded the air. Kong Mok led a large group of experts to the perimeter of Fairy Palace. Your Majesty, the array has been set up. Once Your Majesty gives the order, the array will activate and isolate the perimeter of Fairy Palace. No matter how great the commotion inside, it will not be able to travel out. A subject solemnly said. Kong Mok nodded. Activate the array. Let's go. Kong Mok ordered. With that, Kong Mok led the 5 experts into the Fairy Palace. The other officials around them quickly activated the array formation. But suddenly, a formation appeared around the Fairy Palace. It was as if a transparent cover had formed around the palace. Yan Chuan, who was talking to the Holy Maiden, suddenly raised his eyebrows and looked up at the sky. Holy Maiden's expression sank. The two immediately stood up. Boom. A powerful aura shot toward the Fairy Palace. In the surrounding side halls, Bai Ditian, Lu Jin and Dongfang Jingpai's expressions all darkened. They quickly stepped out of the main hall and headed towards Yan Chuan. Boom. A gust of wind blew past, and 6 figures suddenly appeared in front of Yan Chuan and Zhao Feng. Kong Mok, the Prophet Buddha, and the 4 Upper Void Realm experts stared coldly at Yan Chuan. Kong Mok? Yan Chuan's face darkened. Behind him, Bai Ditian, Lu Jin and Dongfang Jingpai had all arrived. Little bastard, you are indeed here? This is not your great Jin Empire. There is no golden dragon of providence for you to command. Kong Mok said with a gloomy expression. Kong Mok? Do you know where this is? How dare you be so impudent in my place? Zhao Feng's expression changed. Kong Mok looked at Zhao Feng and said, Holy Maiden, I will apologize to you in the future for today's actions. However, today Yan Chuan must die. How dare you? Zhao Feng immediately rebuked. Yan Chuan smiled and said, Holy Maiden, let me do it. Chapter 990. Zhao Feng frowned slightly. Yan Chuan stood in front of the Heavenly Maiden. Things were different now. How could Yan Chuan stand behind a woman and let her protect him? Kong Mok? You want to kill me? Yan Chuan smiled coldly. Kong Mok smiled coldly. That's right. You must die today. Do you think Bai Ditian can protect you? Dream on. Among the group of people here, only Bai Ditian was recognized by Kong Mok. Kong Mok knew Lu Jin. After all, he had collected a lot of information on Dezhen over the years. She was just an old eunuch. How big of a commotion could she cause? Yan Chuan did not waste his breath. He stretched out his hand and attacked first. Oh no. The Buddha's expression changed. Kong Mok's expression darkened, but he did not care. Instead, he also attacked Yan Chuan with his palm. Boom. Kong Mok did not use his full strength, but Yan Chuan used a lot of strength. The power of his palm was extremely vast. Moreover, in order not to hurt the Heavenly Maiden Temple, Yan Chuan suppressed all the aftershocks in Kong Mok's direction. Boom. Kong Mok was sent flying. The Buddha? Kong Mok, who was sent flying? Kong Mok's 4 subordinates? Kong Mok was not injured. He was stunned by this scene. How could it be? He was at the upper void stage while Yan Chuan was at the intermediate void stage at most. How could he be sent flying? He originally thought he could kill Yan Chuan by stretching out his hand, but he was sent flying? Kill? Yan Chuan ordered and charged towards Kong Mok. Boom. Lu Jin's horsetail whisk suddenly swung out at an upper void stage cultivator who was still in a daze. Bai Ditian, on the other hand, stepped forward and charged towards the Buddha. Bai Ditian was at the 10th level of the upper void stage. He was extremely powerful. In just an instant he appeared in front of the Buddha. His hand formed a claw and a white light flashed past. The Prophet Buddha's expression changed drastically as he took out his kasaya. However, in front of Bai Ditian, it was like an ordinary piece of cloth. Rip. The monastic robe was torn apart, and the claw light slashed across the chest of the Prophet Buddha. Ah! Prophet Buddha cried out in pain as Bai Ditian tore off a large piece of flesh from his chest. How is that possible? Let's attack together. Prophet Buddha exclaimed. The expressions of the 4 upper void stage martial artists also changed drastically, and they quickly charged over. Boom boom boom. Bai Ditian and Lu Jin fought against the 5 upper emptiness realm cultivators. For a moment the battle was intense. Under the powerful collisions, a storm was created and rumbling sounds could be heard. Bai Ditian and Lu Jin were fiercely suppressing the 5 upper emptiness realm cultivators. On the other side, Yan Chuan charged towards Kong Mok. Around Yen Chuan, star-like energy balls revolved around Yen Chuan as they spun rapidly. They carried a powerful aura as they charged towards Kong Mok. Yen Chuan held the Emperor's sword in one hand and the Jade the Arch sword in the other as he charged towards Kong Mok. Stars and sword auras surrounded him. This made Yen Chuan's aura even more ferocious. You want to kill me? I want to kill you too. Kong Mok, you asked for it. Die. Yen Chuan charged ferociously. Kong Mok's mouth was agape as he looked at this scene in shock. Impossible. Kong Mok couldn't believe this magical scene no matter what. Of course, Kong Mok couldn't just sit there and wait for death. He brandished his sword and clashed with Yen Chuan. Rumble. Rumble. Bai Ditian killed fourth brother. Fourth brother. Explosions rang out in the Great Formation where sand and pebbles flew about as the massacre continued. A group of upper void stage martial artists were fighting with all their might. Outside the array formation, Kong Mok's subordinates were working hard to stabilize the array formation. The array formation trembled. It seemed like it would collapse at any moment. One of Kong Mok's subordinates laughed and said, His Majesty must be torturing Yen Chuan to death. That's right, Your Majesty is invincible. Right now, Yen Chuan must be helpless. The Immortal trapping array is already like this. The battle inside must be exciting. Chapter 991. Rumble. Dust rose around the fairy palace as sand and rocks flew everywhere. The battle between the Upper Void Realm cultivators shook the Immortal trapping array. The officials of the Great Buddha Empire stabilized the Immortal trapping array and mourned for Yen Chuan. In everyone's eyes, Kong Mok was definitely the one who was trampling on Yen Chuan and the others. Everyone knew about Yen Chuan's information. Previously, in the Great Jin Empire, he had only relied on the Golden Dragon's providence. Everyone was only guessing how long Yen Chuan would last. 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours later. The officials of the Great Buddha Empire could no longer remain calm. Something's not right. Why is it taking so long? One of the officials frowned. Just as everyone was frowning, an angry roar came from the sea of fog. How dare you be so presumptuous in my archaic sect? His furious roar soared into the sky as he charged toward the fairy palace. Who? In an instant, a large number of experts gathered from all directions. Not good. Your Majesty, quick. The people from the archaic sect are here. One of the officials shouted towards the array. At the same time, the various sect leaders who were invited rushed over after hearing the angry roar. Rumble. Countless cultivators rushed towards the fairy palace. Yen Ran became the center of attention in the fairy palace. Inside the Immortal trapping array, 8 Upper Void Realm cultivators were fighting fiercely. Lu Jin only cooperated with Yen Chuan and Bai Ditian. Most of them stayed out of the battle. The main reason was because Bai Ditian and Yen Chuan were strong. Bai Ditian tore an Upper Void Realm cultivator apart. Yen Chuan also used his sword to kill an Upper Void Realm cultivator. One sword pierced through the brain and the other through the heart. When the two swords clashed, the Upper Void Realm cultivator was completely cut into pieces. The Vine Demon entangled an Upper Void Realm cultivator, making him unable to move. The Upper Void Realm cultivator struggled in fear. Boom. A large number of vines rushed towards the Upper Void Realm cultivator, wanting to tear him into pieces. Only 3 people were left. Bai Ditian fought against 2 Upper Void Realm cultivators. Yen Chuan, on the other hand, was fighting Kong Mok. Boom, boom, boom. Yen Chuan's and Kong Mok's swords clashed, creating a huge impact. Lu Jin protected the others on the periphery. Impossible. How did you suddenly become so strong? Kong Mok exclaimed. Kong Mok was not an ordinary Upper Void Stage cultivator, and he was a powerful cultivator at the 7th level of the Upper Void Stage. However, he was actually unable to do anything to Yen Chuan. Furthermore, he was actually suppressed by Yen Chuan's ferocious might? That was impossible. How old was this bastard? When Yen Chuan's sword clashed with Yen Chuan's saber, Yen Chuan's expression became even more ferocious. Roar. Yen Chuan roared. The ball of light that seemed to revolve around Kong Mok's body crazily crashed into his energy shield. Boom. Like a meat grinder, it twisted Kong Mok's defense. Yen Chuan suppressed Kong Mok ruthlessly. Kong Mok, there's a path to heaven but you refuse to take it. Today you're the one who delivered yourself to me. Although I can't kill you in front of everyone, as long as I can avenge my parents, I won't hesitate to do anything. Rumble. The Heavenly Cycle Stellar technique pressed down on Kong Mok's energy shield. Bastard. Bastard. Kong Mok roared unwillingly. Just as Kong Mok was struggling, a voice suddenly came from outside. "Oh no! Your Majesty, quick! The archaic mystery sect is here." The voice inside could not be heard, but the voice outside could be heard. Hearing the voice, Kong Mok's expression changed. Chapter 992. While he was distracted, one of the stars around Yen Chuan suddenly broke through his defense and appeared in front of Kong Mok. Smack! That star hit Kong Mok's face and made a crisp slap sound. A slap? Kong Mok's expression was extremely ugly. "Your face is thicker than the city walls. My stars have shattered, but your face is still intact?" Yen Chuan said in surprise. "Bastard!" Kong Mok was instantly enraged after being slapped in the face. And at this moment, above the immortal trapping array, suddenly, a huge white palm print descended from the sky. Boom! The huge palm slammed down, causing the entire sea of fog to boil. The Buddhist official looked at the sky with his mouth agape. Boom! The huge palm print pressed down on the immortal trapping array. Bam! The formation was crushed. More than 100 great Buddhist ministers who had been stabilizing the formation were sent flying backward by the countercurrent, each of them coughing up blood. Poof! Poof! Everyone fell to the ground. The array was broken. An immortal? Only an immortal can break it from the outside. Is this an immortal's attack? A cultivator on the ground exclaimed. Once the array was broken, a powerful force rushed inside the array. Boom! The people who were fighting inside were all pushed back by this powerful aura. They all tried to protect themselves, but they were all pushed back. Yen Chuan's eyes flashed with a strong sense of indignation. Bai Ditian saw that he could kill another person, but he had no choice but to dodge. Boom! The Vine Demon also released an upper void realm cultivator and quickly surrounded the Heavenly Lady and Dongfang Zhengpai to prevent them from getting hurt. Whoosh! A strong wind blew past, blowing away the sand and dust. An elder in a white Taoist robe appeared above everyone. He held a horsetail whisk and looked down coldly. It was the archaic mystery sect master Yun Xan. Dozens of people quickly gathered behind Yun Xan, including Sima Yuntian, who Yen Chuan knew. He was the currently Si. Li Si stood beside Meng Ling Tian. He looked curiously at the scene in the west. There was another person beside him, Kong Daoqiu from the Confucius Lu Academy. He was also looking down with a frown. 2 dead and 3 injured. Apart from Kong Mok, who was in a slightly sorry state, everyone else had suffered a painful blow. More and more cultivators gathered from all directions, including the disciples of the archaic mystery sect and the experts from all over the place. Yun Xan frowned and looked down coldly. Immortals? Yun Xan was actually an immortal? Yen Chuan stared at Yun Xan in surprise after putting the Vine Demon away. "Goddess, are you all right?" Yun Xan looked at Zhao Fang sternly. Zhao Fang shook his head. Yun Xan immediately looked at the wailing people on the ground. More than 100 people had been injured by his palm. Finally he looked at Kong Mok. Yun Xan squinted her eyes. Just when she was about to ask, Kong Daoqiu called out first. "Kong Mok, what are you doing? Do you know where this is?" Kong Daoqiu scolded. Kong Daoqiu's rebuke made Yun Xan fall silent for a while. Kong Mok looked at Kong Daoqiu with an ugly expression, then looked at Yen Chuan's group with a gloomy face. "Goddess, Sect Master Yun, I have offended you." Kong Mok sighed gently. Clearly he could not kill Yen Chuan now. "The great Buddha Emperor? I want to know what's going on." Yun Xan said sternly. Kong Mok sucked in a deep breath and said, "This is a personal grievance between me and Yen Chuan. I didn't want to alarm everyone." "A personal grievance with Yen Chuan? Must you settle it in the fairy hall?" Yun Xan said coldly. Chapter 993. Kong Imoku frowned. "Kong Imoku, you are not welcome here. Please leave immediately." Zhao Fang said coldly. "Kong Imoku, why aren't you going back?" Kong Daoqiu immediately shouted. Although he was scolding Kong Imoku, everyone could tell that he was protecting Kong Imoku. He did not want the situation to worsen and disrupt his plan. Countless cultivators in the surroundings revealed curious expressions. Kong Imoku had just been slapped in the face again. Now he was flustered and he was even scolded. He immediately felt suffocated. He looked at Yen Chuan hatefully, then at the officials he brought with him. In the end he snorted coldly and said, "Let's go." Kong Imoku quickly left with his officials. Clearly Yun Xan did not want to let the matter rest. However, Kong Daoqiu said, "Sect Master Yun, I have offended you this time. I will definitely discipline him properly. Later, I will get Kong Imoku to apologize to the archaic mystery sect." Yun Xen looked at Kong Daoqiu and frowned. In the end, she nodded and did not pursue the matter. Holy daughter, are you all right? Yun Xen looked at Zhao Feng shook her head and said, I'm fine. You all go ahead. I will clean up here myself. Yun Xen nodded. On account of Kong Daoqiu, Yun Xen slowly led the group away. Before leaving, Kong Daoqiu glanced at Yan Chuan in surprise. Li Si and Meng Lingtian were slightly surprised as well. However, they still left with Yun Xen. The only people left behind were the experts from the various sects, as well as the various sect leaders who had been invited. Holy daughter, what happened earlier? A sect master called out. The others all looked over. Zhao Feng frowned. Clearly she did not want to say anything. You go back first. Leave this to me. Yan Chuan said softly. All right. Zhao Feng nodded and retreated to the undamaged palace. The other sect masters immediately frowned. At the same time, they looked at Yan Chuan's group with hostility. Just as Yan Chuan was about to step forward, Dongfang Jingpai suddenly said, Yan Chuan, you have been fighting for so long. Leave this to me. No matter what, I am the director of the Special Affairs Department. How can I not handle such a small matter? Dongfang Jingpai said with a wink. Looking at Dongfang Jing, Yan Chuan nodded. He would leave this place to Dongfang Jingji. After all, to Yan Chuan, there was no need for him to explain himself to these people. However, Dongfang Jingpai felt that this was an opportunity to perform. Yan Chuan, Bai Ditian, and Lu Jin retreated to the main hall that was still intact. Only the Eastern Orthodox faction remained. You're the one from the Julu Academy? One of the sect masters recognized him immediately. That's right, I am the great Confucian Dongfang Jingpai. Dongfang Jingpai nodded. What happened just now? Also, how can they live near the fairy palace? One of the sect masters frowned. What happened just now? Can't you see? The Celestial Arcanum sect's God creation plan is a fair competition. The Heavenly Lady and sect leader Yun are the judges. However, there are despicable people who want to find another way and destroy this fairness. Dongfang Jingpai said. What? Kong Mok wants to destroy the rules? One of the sect masters shouted angrily. Isn't that so? Everyone had a chance to participate in the God creation plan. However, Kong Mok was a despicable villain. He actually set his sights on the Holy Daughter, and even set up a grand formation to trap this place. Dongfang Jingpai said. Is that so? Someone asked suspiciously. Of course. I am a scholar. How can I lie? Dongfang Jingpai said with a straight face. Everyone looked at Dongfang Jingpai suspiciously. Chapter 994. Then tell me, how is Kong Mok going to break the rules? Is it enough to trap her here? How is he going to force her to agree? Someone frowned. Can't you see? She's trapped by the array. If Yan Chuan and I were not here, Kong Mok would have succeeded. Dongfang Jingpai shouted. You almost succeeded? Is he going to use her innocence to threaten her? Someone suddenly thought of something. Innocence? The innocence of the heavenly maiden? Kong Mok wants to do something beastly? Instantly, many cultivators were enraged. Dongfang Jingpai was feeling smug when he suddenly felt that something was wrong. Yan Chuan seemed to have an ambiguous relationship with the goddess. If he continued on this topic, wouldn't he be tarnishing her reputation? Wouldn't he be letting Yan Chuan down? No, he had to protect her reputation. Dongfang Jingpai immediately shouted, No, it's not what you think. Actually, Kong Mok has a vicious secret technique to refine people into puppets. He wants to control the goddess. Dongfang Jingpai explained. A secret technique to control people? How can there be such a secret technique? He must be trying to threaten her with her innocence. Someone said in disbelief. As soon as that person said that, many people followed suit and agreed. Dongfang Jingpai was dumbfounded. They didn't believe him. What should he do? Seeing that everyone was filled with righteous indignation, Dongfang Jingpai gritted his teeth and threw out another bombshell. Sai, you've misunderstood. Kong Mok really wants to use a vicious secret technique. As for her innocence, it's impossible. Because? Dongfang Jingpai said with a troubled expression. Because what? Everyone looked at Dongfang Jingpai. Because Kong Mok is into men. Dongfang Jingpai gritted his teeth and said. Everyone? Men. Everyone looked at Dongfang Jingpai in confusion. Of course. When he trapped us, he even said that he liked me. He said that he would kidnap me and make me his concubine after this matter was over. I almost vomited. Dongfang Jingpai said shamelessly. Everyone looked at Dongfang Jingpai and widened their eyes. You vomited? I even vomited. Do you think Kong Mok would be interested in that fat pig of yours? Furthermore, Kong Mok mentioned a few names when he was in the formation, such as the sect leader of the blood-sealing sect and the sect leader of the True Self sect. They were all Kong Mok's next targets. Dong Fang Jingpai continued. What? Bastard. Two angry shouts came from the crowd. Everyone looked over. However, the two people in the crowd were so angry that their faces turned red. Dong Fang Jingpai's eyes lit up. So it's Sect Lord Blood Sealing and Sect Lord True Self. You two should be careful in the coming days. This Kong Mok is not human. Brat, what nonsense are you talking about? The two of them said angrily. Dong Fang Jingpai looked hurt. I didn't say it, it was Kong Mok. I'm in the same boat as you. You should know that no one would slander themselves for no reason. It's really Kong Mok. His taste is too disgusting. Take care of yourselves. Ah, bastard. The sect leader of the blood-sealing sect said angrily. Well, that's right. I remember Kong Mok also said that there's no one he can't get his hands on. You two be careful. Let's work together. Dong Fang Jingpai sighed. Let's work together? The dozens of sect leaders thought about Dong Fang Jingpai's words and shivered. Everyone, let's be careful. Kong Mok has a group of lackeys who search for people for him. Dong Fang Jingpai shouted. Suddenly, a cultivator's expression changed. Now I remember now. One of Kong Mok's subordinates has been wandering around my base recently. As soon as that person spoke, everyone's gazes turned to him. Dong Fang Jingpai said with a worried expression. Fellow cultivator, you should pray for yourself. Dong Fang Jingpai's words made that cultivator break out in cold sweat. Kong Mok, you pervert. That cultivator shouted angrily as if he had been greatly humiliated. The gazes of the people around him became sympathetic. At this point, Dong Fang Jingpai had completely demonized Kong Mok in everyone's hearts. The masculine Kong Mok? One could imagine how much blood Kong Mok would spit out when he heard the news. Asking for leave, I'm very sorry. Sometimes when Guanxi caught a cold he would update while sick. However, this time was different. His family's elder was critically ill and he had to ask for leave. Sorry. Leave, notice Guanxi's grandmother passed away. I'm asking for leave for 3 days. Chapter 995. 4 days later, south of the Celestial Arcanum sect. At Kong Mok's base. Kong Mok looked at the Prophet Buddha. Prophet, how are your injuries? Kong Mok asked. Thank you for your concern, Your Majesty. I'm much better now. By Detian, I didn't expect him to be so powerful. 10th level upper void stage? I can't even hold my own against him. The Prophet Buddha smiled bitterly. Kong Mok took a deep breath and nodded. Yen Chuan has been lucky all these years. Your Majesty, it seems that our people who are scattered all over the place have been attacked for some unknown reason recently? Prophet Buddha asked curiously. Kong Mok frowned and nodded. That's right. At first I thought it was Yen Chuan's doing. However, after a few dozen attacks, I realized it couldn't be Yen Chuan's doing. The people who attacked us are from all over the continent. It can't be Yen Chuan's secret force. Then why? We didn't get any benefits in the fairy palace. Why are we being ostracized? I'm not sure. The injured people said they were enraged when they saw them. There's no explanation at all. Just when the two of them were at their wits' end because of the inexplicable blow to the great Buddhist minister, Your Majesty, Your Majesty. Cries of agony came from outside the hall. Soon, a group of people carried an official covered in blood into the hall. Beloved official, how are you? Kong Mok quickly went forward. The heavily injured official's face was covered in blood as he said, Your Majesty, I'm useless. I went to the blood-sealing sect to seek an audience with the sect master of the blood-sealing sect. However, the sect master of the blood-sealing sect attacked me without saying a word. I only managed to escape in a hurry. I didn't complete Your Majesty's mission. I couldn't persuade the sect master of the blood-sealing sect to surrender. Kong Mok's face twitched. In the end he comforted the official, You've worked hard. Rest well. Yes. Everyone retreated. Only the Prophet Buddha remained. The two of them looked at each other. They were panicking. You have to find out what's going on. Kong Mok was enraged. Yes. The palace master of the Jade Palace requests an audience. A report came from outside the hall. Ma Daoquan? Why is he here? Didn't we ask him to secretly assist His Majesty in obtaining first place? Prophet Buddha asked with a frown. Let him in. Kong Mok was also confused. Soon Ma Daoquan entered the main hall. She was none other than the palace master of Ning Chui Palace, who had been discovered by Ninth Rat and Kong Mok not long ago. The moment Ma Daoquan entered the main hall, he immediately bowed and said, "Greetings, Your Majesty." "Daoquan? Why are you here?" Kong Mok frowned. "Your Majesty, I've heard some bad news about Your Majesty. Your Majesty's subjects have been attacked many times, so I had no choice but to come." Ma Daoquan said anxiously. "Do you know the reason?" Kong Mok glared. "Yes, Your Majesty. You've been slandered by Yen Chuan. Now all the sect leaders fear you like snakes and scorpions." Ma Daoquan said anxiously. "Yen Chuan? Slander? What's going on?" Kong Mok frowned. "Slander? A slander was enough to make all the sect leaders stand together against him? What kind of slander was that?" "Yen Chuan instigated the Eastern Orthodox faction to slander you." Ma Daoquan didn't know what to say. "Say it. I'll pardon you." Kong Mok said anxiously. "Say it. You're a man." Ma Daoquan looked at Kong Mok with a hint of curiosity in his eyes. "A man?" Kong Mok didn't react for a moment. Chapter 996. However, Kong Mok reacted quickly and shouted angrily, "What? Bastard, I'm going to wipe out your entire family." Kong Mok roared at the top of his lungs. Ma Daoquan repeated what Dongfang Jingpai had said that day word for word. Bam. Kong Mok's eyes were bloodshot as he smashed the chair beside him. "Lustful. You're interested in that fat pig from Dongfang Jingpai? And you want to snatch that fat pig back to be your concubine?" Hearing this, Kong Mok had the urge to vomit blood. No wonder. Prophet Buddha smiled bitterly. No wonder those faction leaders looked at the people from the great Buddha Empire like snakes and scorpions. This kind of slander was too despicable and filthy at the same time. Kong Mok was so disgusted that he wanted to go back and kill them. "Your Majesty, it's good that you didn't." Ma Daoquan sighed. "What? Even you suspect me?" Kong Mok said angrily. No, I'm just thinking about how to resolve this slander." Ma Daoquan said immediately. "Umph." Kong Mok was angry and the two of them knew that, so they didn't care about Kong Mok's snort. "Your Majesty, the plan to create a god is nearing. We have to get rid of this slander." Prophet Buddha said immediately. "Then what do you think we should do?" Kong Mok frowned. "Your Majesty, I came here on my own accord to resolve this slander. If Your Majesty clarifies the matter, the faction leaders will not believe it. Therefore, I think it's best for Your Majesty to clarify this matter. At the same time, I'll criticize Yen Chuan's evil intentions on Your Majesty's behalf and let the faction leaders be wary of Yen Chuan." Ma Daoquan said. Kong Mok nodded. "Your Majesty, after Ma Daoquan's explanation, I'll bring some people to visit those factions that attacked us. On one hand, we'll seek justice for our people. On the other hand, we'll pardon their wrongdoings at the right time to buy favors and make preparations for Your Majesty to take them in." Prophet Buddha said. "All right. I'll leave this matter to you." Kong Mok nodded. "Yes." The two of them left the hall. Standing in the middle of the hall, Kong Mok thought of that fat pig Dongfang Jingpai. His face twitched. That fat pig actually said that he wanted to take him as his concubine. "We will definitely exterminate your entire clan." Kong Mok's eyes were filled with anger. Ma Daoquan's movements were extremely fast. While the surrounding sect leaders were demonizing Kong Mok to the extreme, Ma Daoquan timely cleared Kong Mok's name and pointed the spearhead at Eastern Orthodox sect. They said that this person was extremely despicable and shameless. In a valley outside the archaic Arcanum sect, Rin Shu, who had been injured by Kong Mok not long ago, once again summoned a group of rats to gather information. "Ha, Kong Mok. To think that you would have such a day. This Dongfang Jing sect is indeed a member of my generation," Rin Rat said excitedly. Not long ago, the grudge of his egg being injured was still fresh in Hydra's mind. Although Ninth Rat was slapped to death, it was also extremely narrow-minded. Seeing Kong Mok suffer, it naturally took pleasure in his misfortune. Squeak, squeak, squeak. A fat rat reported again. Hearing Big Rat's report, Ninth Rat's eyes rolled again. The wise Buddha brought a group of people to visit the encampments of the major sects? Could it be that he wants to dissolve this slander? Ma Daoquan cleared Kong Mok's name? "Aha, the time for Rat Grandpa to take revenge has come. Wise Buddha? On the day when Rat Grandpa was injured, you chased me for so many days and still told me that sex is the leader of all evil? Bah, let's see if Rat Grandpa doesn't kill you." Ninth Rat's face revealed a trace of hatred. Chapter 997. Sealing Blood Sect's encampment. Inside a large hall. At this moment, a group of practitioners was standing. Everyone looked at the person leading them. Sealing Blood Sect Master, why did you call us here? What life and death matter? Everyone frowned and looked at the man leading them. The man leading them looked at everyone and said, Greetings, Sect Masters. Today I invited everyone here not because of my own intentions, but because of someone else's request. Moreover, this matter concerns our honor, we need to face it together. The 9 Sect Masters frowned and looked at Sealing Blood Sect Master. At this moment, a green-robed practitioner walked out from the side hall. It was Rin Rat. Let's have Hall Master Rin say it. Sealing Blood Sect Master said solemnly. Rin Rat nodded and looked at the 10 powerful Sect Masters. Everyone looked at Rin Rat. Rin Rat took a deep breath and said, I have some friendship with Sealing Blood Sect Master, so I came here to inform him. Later, Sealing Blood Sect Master said that he wanted everyone to face it together, so I called everyone here. What's the matter? A Scarlet-Red practitioner shouted. Rin Rat glanced at him and said, Scarlet-Red Sect Master? Just like the rumors, fiery temper. Let me introduce myself first. Does anyone recognize me? Scarlet-Red Sect Master raised his eyebrows and said, Who are you? Someone recognized him. You are Divine Sect's Sacred Grounds Rinshin Hall Master, Rin Rat? That's right. Rin Rat nodded. Rin Rat nodded. Scarlet-Red Sect Master frowned. After all, to everyone Sacred Grounds were of the same level as high-level sects. When a Sacred Grounds Hall Master spoke, the credibility was relatively high. Rinshin Hall Master? What's the matter? Someone said. Taking a deep breath, Rin Rat said, Does everyone still remember the matter of Fairy Hall 8 days ago? Aha, of course I remember. Eastern Orthodox sect slandered Kong Mo, which disgusted the surrounding sect masters. They made such a big joke. Scarlet-Red Sect Master laughed. Slander? Rin Rat revealed a disdainful smile. Everyone frowned and looked at Rin Rat. The Julu Academy and Confucius Lu Academy are the oldest academies in the world. Every great Confucian in the Julu Academy is full of righteousness. Confucian cultivators like them value their reputation the most. Why would the Eastern Orthodox need to defile others? What good would it do him? Rin Rat asked. He's a great scholar, a scholar. Although I've never seen him before, his reputation is quite high in the Divine Sect's sacred ground. He's righteous and never lies. He's the founder of the Julu Academy, the descendant of Invincible East. Would he defile himself? Rin Rat said with certainty. Everyone raised their eyebrows. There was a hint of wavering. But 3 days ago, Palace Master Ning Chui and Ma Daoquan personally cleared Kong Mok's name. Ma Daoquan and Kong Mok have a grudge against each other for killing his son. Moreover, Kong Mok has never heard of such news before. The Crimson Sect Master said with a frown. Rumors? Would Kong Mok spread this kind of news? Rin Rat said disdainfully. Everyone frowned and looked at Rin Rat. I don't know if everyone knows that not long ago, I was chased by Prophet Buddha? Rin Rat said in a deep voice. I know about this. I even saw with my own eyes that Prophet Buddha chased after you. Not only me but many sect masters should know about this. After all, you were in a stalemate for several days. Fengshui Sect Master said. Could it be that Kong Mok also took a liking to you? The Crimson Sect Master's eyes widened in surprise. Chapter 998. Rin Rat shook his head and said, Of course not. That day, I bumped into Kong Mok and Ma Daoquan's good deed. Everyone was surprised. All of you know that Ma Daoquan and Kong Mo have irreconcilable enmity. Why would Ma Daoquan speak up for Kong Mo? Rin Rat said disdainfully. What? Everyone already had an answer in their hearts, but they still didn't believe it. Actually, not long ago, I saw with my own eyes how Kong Mok subdued Ma Daoquan. Because of that, I was chased for millions of miles. At that time, Kong Mok hurriedly put on his clothes, so he sent his lackeys, the Prophet Buddha, to kill me to silence me. Fortunately, I escaped in the end. Everyone, all the sect leaders felt a chill run down their spines. Was this for real? Kong Mok conquered Ma Daoquan? Thinking of this, everyone felt their hair stand on end. That's not right. The Prophet Buddha just visited me yesterday. He even abandoned our grudge against him. A sect leader frowned. Rin Rat sneered and said, That's because Kong Mok wants to do to you what he did to Ma Daoquan. What? The sect master jumped up in anger. And everyone actually, when I bumped into Kong Mok, it was because I heard your names that I gathered all of you. Don't you all feel that you are much more handsome than ordinary people? Rinrat said. Preposterous. The Scarlet Red Sect Master was instantly enraged. Great Confucian wouldn't sully his own reputation. I, Rinrat, am the Palace Master of Divine Sect's sacred ground. Why would I lie to you? You've all been deceived by Kong Mo Ku, Rinrat said earnestly. Everyone's brows furrowed into a frown. You can't defeat the Prophet Buddha, sigh. Rinrat sighed for everyone. Reporting. A voice came from outside the palace. Come in. Sect Master Feng Shui frowned. Soon 2 disciples came in. Sect Leader, this is the Scarlet Sect Leader's disciple requesting an audience. One of them shouted. Disciple, why are you here? The Scarlet Red Sect Master frowned. Sect Master, the Prophet Buddha came to seek an audience today. We told him that you weren't here, but he still left a letter for you. The disciple cried out. You're still as perverted as ever. Rinrat sneered. The Scarlet Red Sect Master had a fiery temper. He immediately rushed over and tore the letter that his disciple sent over. Bastard, how dare you? Where is that ignorant prophet? The Scarlet Red Sect Master shouted in rage. I think he went to the True Self sect at that time. The disciple shouted. Bastard, he went to my sect? Another sect leader in the hall said angrily. Reporting. Another outer sect disciple came in to report. It was also the news of the Buddha. At the side, 9th Rat sneered inwardly. Uncle Rat analyzed your route, and that's why I invited all their sect masters here. Prophet Buddha? You'll suffer later. Reports of bad luck kept coming in. The faces of the sect leaders were extremely ugly. At the same time he broke out in cold sweat. Under normal circumstances, Kong Mok's hobby could be treated as a joke. However, when it came to them, it was not as simple as a joke. All the people who had reached the upper emptiness realm felt a chill in their hearts. They even felt their scalps go numb. Sigh, everyone, that's all I have to say. As for how to resolve this, you'd better be careful. 9th Rat said with a sigh. Reporting. Sect Master, the Buddha Prophet requests an audience. Another disciple rushed into the hall. What? The sect leader's face changed. Immediately, the sect leader remembered that the Dongfang Jingji sect had mentioned him that day. As long as Kong Mok had his eyes on something, there was nothing he couldn't get. The sect leader's face turned red with anger. Bald donkey, you're courting death. The sect leader said angrily. Everyone in the hall was also filled with righteous indignation. The Prophet Buddha is a very useful pawn of Kong Mok. Not only is he powerful, but his wisdom is also extraordinary. It can be said that he is brave and resourceful. It seems that the process of Ma Daoquan being conquered was planned by the Prophet Buddha. Everyone. 9th Rat added fuel to the fire. Everyone immediately felt darkness in front of them. Kill this pervert. The sect leader said with bloodshot eyes. Okay. The group of sect leaders shouted in unison. Chapter 999. Blood-Sealing Sect's Encampment. Prophet Buddha and his 10 disciples were standing at the outer plaza. One of the disciples frowned. Master, we went to 6 sects encampments in a row, but none of the sect leaders are here. Could something have happened? Shaking his head, Prophet Buddha said, No, the first few sects we went to, weren't they normal? Don't be impatient, working for His Majesty is your fortune. If you can form good karma now, it'll be a merit for the great Buddha Empire. Yes. The disciples calmed down. The 10 disciples calmed down, but Prophet Buddha was a little annoyed. 6 times in a row, I hope it's just a coincidence. On the mountain, there was a formation set up to prevent outsiders from seeing what was going on, but those on the mountain could see what was going on. Rinrat led the 10 sect leaders to look at Prophet Buddha. The 10 sect leaders' faces turned red, their eyes spitting fire as they looked down. This bald donkey has guts, let's go kill him together. Scarlet Red Sect's leader shouted. Wait. Rinrat suddenly shouted. Everyone looked at Rinrat. Everyone, I know that all of you still have some doubts about me. Rinrat said. Doubts? What doubts? Scarlet Red Sect's leader was puzzled. Although the other 9 sect leaders were furious, they still had some calmness. I'm sure everyone knows that Prophet Buddha went to your encampments for the same reason he came here. Why don't we let Blood-Sealing Sect's leader go down and ask him personally? Rinrat asked. Everyone looked at Rinrat in surprise. They had some doubts before, but now that Rinrat was so honest, their doubts were mostly gone. What's there to ask? Just kill this pervert. Scarlet Red Sect's leader shouted. Rinrat shook his head firmly and looked at Blood-Sealing Sect's leader. I know blood-sealing sect's leader doesn't want to talk to him, but please verify it for everyone. After we go down, Prophet Buddha will definitely beat around the bush. If you don't want to say anything, just ask yourself, does Kong Imoku want to take me as his concubine? Everything will be clear. Just ask him if he wants to take you as his concubine. The results will be out soon. Blood-sealing sect's leader was embarrassed. Ask this question? Who could open their mouths? However, looking at the expectant gazes of the other sect leaders, as well as their collective indignation, sect leader Feng Shui nodded his head in order to verify the truth. Under everyone's gazes, the blood-sealing sect master flew down. What he didn't know was that Ninth Rat's words just now had a hint. Although Ninth Rat only emphasized one question, he added another question that could be replaced. Everyone stared intently below. When the blood-sealing sect master landed, the Buddha of Prophets saw him and his eyes lit up. That bright gaze made sect master Feng Shui feel extremely disgusted. Prophet greets sect master blood-sealing sect. Prophet Buddha stepped forward with a smile. Greetings, Prophet Buddha. Why have you come? The blood-sealing sect's sect master suppressed his disgust and said, I am here on behalf of His Majesty. Blood-sealing sect master, are you not going to invite me to your residence? Prophet Buddha asked politely. Sect master Feng Shui frowned. No need, Prophet Buddha, I just want to ask you a question. Blood-sealing sect master, please speak. Prophet Buddha was slightly puzzled. Kong Imoku, do you want to take me as your concubine? Blood-sealing sect master asked. But at this moment, he couldn't bring himself to say the words concubine. Chapter 1000. Not to mention the group of sect leaders behind him, there were also many disciples in his own sect. Concubine? Concubine my ass. Even saying that out loud was disgusting. His reputation might be ruined just like that. After choking for a while, he still couldn't bring himself to say the word concubine. He could only choose one of the two questions. Does Kong Mok want to take me as his concubine? The Prophet Buddha was slightly stunned. The Prophet Buddha could see the difficulty in the blood-sealing sect's sect leader's words. There was also a trace of hesitation and even a slight struggle in his mind. The Prophet Buddha didn't know about Ren Shu's provocation earlier. When the Prophet Buddha saw this, he immediately felt a trace of excitement. Could it be that the blood-sealing sect leader is taking the initiative to submit to my empire? As the group of sect leaders waited on the mountain, the Prophet Buddha finally spoke. Our great Buddha imperial dynasty is famous in the West Divine Continent, and even the 10,000 Buddha's sacred ground is closely allied with us. His Majesty is talented and bold, and he will definitely unify the world in the future. There are countless heroes in the world, but not many can catch his attention. His Majesty values you very much, and as long as you are willing, he will definitely not treat you badly. Your blood-sealing sect will be valued by His Majesty because of you. As long as you are willing, His Majesty will definitely welcome you with open arms. The Prophet Buddha said with a smile. Welcome you with open arms? That was an idiom used to describe how welcoming a guest was. As long as a guest came, he would give up his master bedroom to the guest and his bed to the guest to rest in with the greatest etiquette. The Prophet Buddha meant that Kong Mok would definitely be extremely welcoming and respectful. However, at this moment, the blood-sealing sect leader felt that it was extremely grating. The truth was revealed. This Kong Mok was indeed perverted. On the mountain, Ren Shu was slightly stunned. He didn't expect the Prophet Buddha to be so cooperative. He was immediately overjoyed. I heard that Son of Heaven Mok is extremely domineering. He hasn't even arrived yet, and his lackey is already so brazen? Welcome you with open arms? He even prepared the bed. How disgusting. That day the great scholar was right. Kong Mok will do anything to achieve his goal. There is no one he can't get. Sigh, there is no one he can't get. Ren Shu continued to provoke. Bald donkey pervert, I'm going to kill you. The Scarlet Red sect master shouted angrily. Everyone had a herd mentality. The Crimson sect master's shout completely dispelled everyone's doubts. The group of sect masters was instantly enraged. At the foot of the mountain, Buddha Prophet was talking excitedly. Suddenly he saw sect master Feng Shui's face turn ashen. He was puzzled. Sect master Feng Shui, what happened to you? What's wrong? This sovereign will kill you. Blood-sealing sect master immediately grabs his large blade and slashes down with a loud bang. What are you doing? Prophet Buddha was shocked. At the same time, 9 powerful auras rushed out from the array not far away. All of them were at the upper emptiness realm? Bald donkey die. The Scarlet Red sect master was the first to roar. Hand over your life. Die. Rumble. The furious killing intent of the 10 upper emptiness realm cultivators instantly swept towards the Prophet Buddha. Wait a minute, what's going on? Prophet Buddha's expression changed greatly as he tried to block the attack. Rumble. However, the 10 sect masters had already straightened out everything and understood everything. How could they have the time to explain it to him? Master, save me. A disciple Jiaohu shouted. Rumble. Chapter 1001. How could this group of people escape from the encirclement of 10 upper emptiness realm experts? Other than the Prophet Buddha, the others were instantly killed. Bastards, you are all crazy. The Prophet Buddha resisted in a sorry state. Die. Torrential flames. The Scarlet Sect leader immediately took out his treasure and released scorching flames. The Prophet Buddha was besieged by 10 upper emptiness realm experts and immediately fled in fear. However, 10 upper emptiness realm experts besieged one person. How could they let him escape? He could only take out his Buddhist commandment blade and resist in the chaos. Rumble. The battle became more and more intense. For a moment, a large number of mountains and rivers were shattered and gravel soared into the sky. The powerful movement immediately made the other sect leaders puzzled. They all rushed to the center of the battle. Even Kong Mok frowned when he heard the sound of the enormous impact. What happened? Kong Mok frowned slightly. However, he still flew to the sky with a group of officials and flew to the distant battlefield. When Kong Mok arrived, a large number of cultivators had already gathered around. It's the Prophet Buddha? One of the officials exclaimed. In the battlefield, the Prophet Buddha was in a sorry state. His right hand that was holding the Buddhist commandment blade was cut off and thrown away. His upper body was frozen and his lower body was charred. He waved an alms bowl in his hand and resisted the attacks of the 10 upper emptiness realm experts with difficulty. The Prophet Buddha was on the verge of death. Roar, His Majesty will definitely avenge me. The Prophet Buddha shouted angrily. This was the most inexplicable battle. Was he going to die without knowing what happened? The Prophet Buddha was extremely depressed. Bastards, stop. Kong Mok suddenly shouted. Kong Mok rushed into the battlefield with a group of officials. Boom. Kong Mok's strength was indeed powerful. With a fierce attack, the battlefield was instantly messed up. Under the huge force, the 10 sect leaders were instantly forced to retreat. Of course, strength was only one aspect. The 10 sect leaders were traumatized when they saw Kong Mok and retreated in fright. The 10 sect leaders looked at Kong Mok in shock and doubt. It was as if they were afraid that they would fall into Kong Mok's hands. Oh, Your Majesty, thank you, Your Majesty. The Prophet Buddha spat out a mouthful of blood and cried out bitterly. What happened? Why are they besieging you? Kong Mok shouted. I don't know. The Prophet Buddha said gloomily. Kong Mok's eyes hardened as he turned to look at the 10 sect leaders. Why did you kill my subjects? Kong Mok asked coldly. Why? Kong Mok, you pervert. The Scarlet Red Sect Master was instantly enraged. Don't be afraid. Today we'll execute this demon on the spot. Sect Master Feng Shui said angrily. Although Kong Mok's eyes were fierce, he was at a loss. Had these people lost their minds? Prophet Buddha, how have you been? Suddenly, a voice came from the side. Everyone looked over, only to see Ninth Rat slowly walk over to where Prophet Buddha's severed arm was and remove the Buddhist commandment blade from it. Rinshu? It's you? Prophet Buddha immediately understood that it was definitely Ninth Rat who instigated it. However, he did not understand how it was done. Kong Mok also looked at Ren Rodent coldly. But Ninth Rat stared at Prophet Buddha and said, Prophet Buddha, your lower body has been roasted to a crisp by the Crimson Sect Master. The Prophet Buddha glared at Ren Rat. I remember when you were chasing me that day, you told me that you were the leader of all evils. Do you still remember? Ninth Rat asked. When the experts heard Ninth Rat's question, they were at a loss for a moment. They did not know what he was trying to say. Ninth Rat continued, I'll return this Buddhist commandment blade to you. Your thing is already charred. Take this opportunity to cut it off yourself. After the Buddhist commandment blade was thrown away, everyone followed Ninth Rat's words and looked at the Prophet Buddha's charred lower body. The Prophet Buddha? Chapter 1002. Fairy Palace. Yen Chuan was in the side hall. Sima Yin Tian, who was now Li Si, stood in front of Yen Chuan. Meng Ling Tian stood beside Li Si and smiled at Yen Chuan. Lu Jin stood respectfully behind Yen Chuan. Dongfang Jingpai stood on both sides. Yen Chuan has already agreed. Li Si, you have to thank me. Dongfang Jingpai said with a smile. If Dajin can get Li Si, it's like getting an arm. Yen Chuan said with a smile. Li Si looked at Yen Chuan and frowned. He didn't know why, but he suddenly felt a sense of familiarity. This feeling didn't come from the Julu Academy's Wenduel. It was as if there was a sense of familiarity. Yen Chuan, Li Si is a paragon of the Julu Academy. If I let you have him, what position will you give him? Meng Lingtian said with a smile. Yen Chuan looked at Meng Lingtian and took a deep breath. Dajin didn't have a prime minister position because there hasn't been a candidate that I'm satisfied with. I've seen Mr. Li Si's abilities and he's indeed extraordinary. Since Mr. Li Si is interested in the position of prime minister, then let's start with the position of senior secretary. From today onwards, I appoint Li Si as the senior secretary of the prime minister's residence. He'll be a grade 5 official. A god investiture decree was issued. The fortune clouds in the distant Yen capital suddenly surged violently. Your subject, Li Si, greets your majesty. Li Si bowed respectfully. Yen Chuan accepted the bow and Li Si bowed. At this moment, both of them frowned. It was as if there was some kind of resonance between the bow and the acceptance. It was as if everything was supposed to be like this. Li Si and Yen Chuan both revealed a trace of surprise. What's wrong? Meng Lingtian asked curiously. Li Si immediately turned around and shook his head. Nothing. I'll have to trouble you with the archaic sect leader. All right. Meng Lingtian nodded with a strange look on his face. After sending Meng Lingtian off, Li Si still looked at Yen Chuan with a complicated expression. Yen Chuan naturally understood the Julu Academy's intentions. When Li Si entered Dezhen, he would at most be a visiting professor. However, Yen Chuan was confident that one day, Li Si would definitely enter Dezhen. Li Si, we understand your capabilities. However, in the Great Zhen, we have to make a name for ourselves through meritorious deeds. Therefore we can only wrong you for the time being. Yen Chuan said with a smile. Your Majesty worries too much. Since I've entered Great Zhen, I naturally understand my position. From today onwards, Your Majesty doesn't need to care about my other identities. From today onwards, I'm the chief clerk of Great Zhen's Prime Minister's estate. If Your Majesty has any instructions, feel free to let me know. Li Si smiled. Looking at Li Si, Yen Chuan nodded in satisfaction. What are Meng Lingtian and Kong Daoqiu doing at the heart of the clouds? Yen Chuan asked curiously. Not just the two of them. Ju is also at the heart of the clouds. Your Majesty should know that the god-making plan this time is basically the archaic mysteries sect attaching itself to a certain hero. Using the special ability of fate cultivation, it will assist and nurture an ancient godlike existence. Li Si explained. Ancient godlike existence? Yen Chuan frowned slightly. Like goddess Ji Qin or the immortal world's ambitious hero Jing Ming not long ago. Although the archaic mysteries sect rarely travels the world, its foundation is extremely solid. Especially in the immortal world, it's one of the great powers that watches over the world tree. It's not an exaggeration to use all their strength to create a god. Li Si said in a low voice. Meng Lingtian, Kong Daoqiu, and Ju are accompanying the heart of the clouds so that they can get more attention from the clouds. Your Majesty will be competing among the heroes next. Similarly, Meng Lingtian, Kong Daoqiu, and Ju will also be competing among the upper echelons. All of this is to increase the importance of the archaic mysteries sect leader. Li Si explained. Chapter 1003. Oh, so, winning the championship is just one of the reasons? Winning the championship may not be enough to gain the recognition of archaic arcanum sect? Yen Chuan narrowed his eyes. Yes. Li Si nodded. After a moment of silence, Yen Chuan looked at Li Si again and said, God-making plan? Li Si, I want you to gather information on the experts from all over the world. I need to expand my forces in this competition. Yes. Li Si replied. Blood-sealing sect's encampment. I'll return this Buddhist commandment blade to you. That thing of yours is burnt. Take this opportunity to cut it off yourself. The Buddhist commandment blade was thrown away. Everyone followed Rinshu's words and looked at the burnt lower part of Prophet Buddha. Prophet Buddha? Ah. Ha ha ha. Ah. The laughter of countless cultivators could be heard from all directions. Prophet Buddha's face flushed red. He pointed at Rinshu and trembled. Oh. He spat out a mouthful of blood. You scoundrel again. Kong Mok said coldly. Rinshu naturally retreated to the side of the 10 sect masters. Kong Mok, I saw everything before you injured me. Rinshu shouted. You saw everything? So what if you saw it? Do you think you can escape today? Kong Mok said coldly. Escape? Why should I escape? With Ma Daoquan as an example, do you think the sect masters will ignore him? If we don't work together today, the sect masters here will be the next Ma Daoquan. Rin Shu rebuked angrily. Kong Mok didn't understand what was going on. Everyone, now is the best time. If you don't want to be Kong Mok's concubine, then kill him. Kill Kong Mok here. Rin Shu suddenly shouted. His concubine? The 10 sect masters suddenly quivered. Kill. Scarlet sect master was the first to fly into the sky. Kill. The 10 sect masters rushed forward together. Kong Mok's face changed. The faces of the officials also changed. They immediately went up to meet the attack. The faces of the sect leaders who were watching from all directions changed. Concubine? Kong Mok's concubine? What did that have to do with the Scarlet Red sect and the Blood-Sealing sect masters? In an instant, countless Xiuzha thought of the words of that person in Dongfangjing sect. Could it be true? Someone asked in surprise. Ma Daoquan became Kong Mok's concubine? Someone was petrified. Rumble. The 10 great sect masters immediately charged forward without any regard for their lives. One by one they took out their magic treasures. For a moment, a storm raged in the surroundings. Sand and pebbles flew everywhere. Countless cultivators retreated again and again. As for the 9th rat, who was shouting the loudest under the sudden chaos, it drilled into the ground. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, 1,000 miles away from the battlefield, 9th rat emerged from the ground. Looking at the chaotic battlefield in the distance, 9th rat sneered, "Humph! Bastards, are you crazy?" Kong Mok roared amidst the chaos. "Protect His Majesty." Ah! Help! This inexplicable battle lasted for an entire day. Kong Mok sacrificed more than 100 of his subordinates. He returned to his encampment with grievous injuries. As for the disciples of the 10 great sect masters, more than half of them were killed or injured. 4 of the 10 great sect masters died. It was obviously impossible for Kong Mok to subdue these people. Before he left, Kong Mok gradually understood everything. Back at his encampment. Bang. He smashed a tea set with a palm. 9th rat Yanchuan, I must kill you. Kong Mok roared with red eyes. Chapter 1004. Prophet Buddha picked up his severed arm and reattached it, but the injuries on his body were not something that could be healed in a short period of time. He bitterly said, "Your Majesty, I did not expect Rin Shu to be as shameless as the Eastern Orthodox sect." 2 sluts. Kong Mok gritted his teeth. Just as the two were fuming, a white-robed man walked in. It was Kong Daoqiu. Kong Daoqiu frowned and looked at Kong Mok. "Kong Mok? How did you do it? Didn't I tell you? The God Creation Plan competition has already started. The disciples of the Archaic Mysteries sect have already recorded all of your performances. I told you to increase your prestige during this period of time, to stand out among the heroes and subdue as many sects as possible. But what about you? You stood out, but you did such a dirty thing? You're a man? You fought over a man? Even if you're embarrassing yourself, don't do it here." Kong Daoqiu said angrily. Kong Daoqiu was furious, but Kong Mok was even more furious. He had not done anything, he had been slandered. He had been slandered by 2 sluts. After taking a few deep breaths, Kong Mok did not know how to reply to Kong Daoqiu. "I'll help you suppress Yin Xian. Don't let anything happen during this period of time," Kong Daoqiu said with a frown. Kong Mok's face twitched. It was as if he was purposely causing trouble. Kong Daoqiu flung his sleeves and left, leaving behind a gloomy Kong Mok. "Your Majesty, things have not been going well for us recently." Prophet Buddha sighed with a frown. "It's all Yanchuan's fault. If it wasn't for Yanchuan, there wouldn't be so much trouble." Kong Mok said with a trace of hatred. "Your Majesty suddenly has a feeling." Prophet Buddha said bitterly. "Our current situation might not be over yet," Prophet Buddha said with a strange tone. Ma Daoquan's Ningzue Palace was a middle sect in the North Divine Continent. It was also a chess piece that Kong Mok had placed in the North Divine Continent. Ningzue Palace was not far from the Archaic Mysteries sect. At this moment, a group of uninvited guests had arrived outside Ningzue Palace. The 2 leading them were Mohina Dojin and Yang Zigu of the Great Revelation Sacred Ground. Behind Mohina Dojin and his son, there were more than 200 black-robed figures. Each of them was emitting an extremely evil aura. The 200 black-robed figures landed on the summit of a mountain. The evil aura they emitted caused the surrounding flowers and trees to wither instantly. Father, according to the news from the archaic Arcanum sect, this congealed jade palace is Kong Mok's chess piece? Yang Zigu asked coldly. Mohina Dojin nodded. In the past, Kong Mok brought 20 Upper Void Realm experts to the Great Zhao Holy Ground, wanting to subdue us and snatch our Great Zhao Holy Ground. Father, are you going to take revenge today? Yang Zigu asked curiously. That's right. Kong Mok? Mohina Dojin snorted coldly. Target, Ning Chui Palace. Raze it to the ground. Leave no one alive. Kill, kill, kill. Mohina Dojin ordered. Yes. The black-robed figures behind him replied stiffly. Boom. The 200 black-robed figures charged forward. In an instant, the evil aura around the 200 black-robed figures soared to the sky. Before they arrived, the sky had already been dyed black by the evil aura. The sky darkened in an instant. The group of Ning Chui Palace disciples immediately noticed the abnormality. 2 of them instantly rushed out and charged towards the group of black-robed figures. Stop. Who are you? One of them shouted angrily. Boom. The 2 Ning Chui Palace disciples who rushed out first were instantly smashed into pieces by a black-robed figure's palm. Chapter 1005. Outside the Celestial Arcanum sect, congealed Jade Palace's base. A group of disciples stood in front of Ma Daoquan with their heads lowered as if they were reporting something. Bastards, a bunch of idiots. Ma Daoquan roared in shame. Kong Mok was the main character of this incident and Ma Daoquan's image seemed to be even worse. Hearing the reports, Ma Daoquan's face turned black. This slander was too despicable. The disciples were submissive and didn't dare to say anything. Just as Ma Daoquan was about to continue raging, his expression suddenly changed and he turned to look towards the southeast. Not good, there's a change in congealed Jade Palace's virtue cloud ocean. Ma Daoquan's face changed. Stepping forward, Ma Daoquan was about to go back, but when he turned around he frowned and said, You, go inform the great Buddha Emperor that someone wants to destroy my congealed Jade Palace. I'll go back first. Yes. The disciple was at a loss. Oh. Ma Daoquan brought a group of experts and quickly headed towards congealed Jade Palace. The disciples looked at each other in dismay. Kong Mok's base. What? Someone wants to destroy congealed Jade Palace? Oh. Yin Chuan? Rinshu? Kong Mok's face sank. I don't know, Master has already gone and asked me to report to the great Buddha Emperor. The disciple said respectfully. Kong Mok's face was gloomy. Your Majesty, congealed Jade Palace is a middle sect and this place isn't too far from congealed Jade Palace. If someone wants to destroy congealed Jade Palace, it means that the person is strong. Your Majesty should be careful. Prophet Buddha said while dragging his injuries. Strong strength? I have a stomach full of anger during this period of time. He's courting death. Kong Mok's face turned cold. Gathering a large number of officials, Kong Mok quickly headed towards congealed Jade Palace. Congealed Jade Palace. Rumble. 200 black-robed people's evil aura surged into the sky as they crazily attacked the formation. The congealed Jade Palace's formation shook. Impossible, even 10 5th-level Upper Void Realm experts can't break my formation. This. A congealed Jade Palace disciple cried out in terror. Boom. Under another impact, the grand formation shattered with a loud bang. Kill. The 200 black-robed men roared in unison. In an instant each of them brandished their pitch-black swords. Once the evil chi was released, it instantly dyed the surrounding void black. The entire Ning Chui Palace was shrouded in an evil aura. Help! Impossible. Inside congealed Jade Palace, screams of agony continued. The 200 black-robed men displayed an extremely demonic strength. It was a one-sided massacre as they crazily massacred the disciples of solid Jade Palace. Kill. 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 Mohina Dojin and Yang Zigu stood at the peak of a mountain and looked coldly at the scene before them. In the congealed Emerald Palace, there were several million disciples. In an instant their internal organs and limbs were sent flying, and their blood was turned into mist by the experts. The entire congealed Emerald Palace was shrouded in blood mist. Father, in the past few decades, the strength of this group of people has been raised by you to the upper void stage? Father, you're too amazing, even Jingming in the past couldn't compare to you. Yang Zigu cried out excitedly. Mohina Dojin smiled with satisfaction, but he still shook his head and said, Don't speak ill of Jingming. Yang Zigu didn't understand. Narrowing his eyes, Mohina Dojin sighed slightly and said, The current me is still not her match, but one day, we will reach the same height as her. Yang Zigu was at a loss. Mohina Dojin shook his head and didn't explain. Chapter 1006. The two of them continued to watch the massacre. Whoosh! A ray of light shot over from afar. Ma Daoquan had arrived at Ning Chui Palace with a group of experts. Ma Daoquan was enraged when he saw the massacre. Bastard! Bastard! Ma Daoquan roared as he took out his saber and charged into the battlefield. Boom! He forced a black-robed man back with his saber. However, the black-robed man quickly reacted. One of them might not be able to defeat you, but 10 of them? Roar! The group of black-robed men charged at Ma Daoquan. In the blink of an eye, Ma Daoquan's group was dragged into the battlefield. Umph! Mohina Dojin sneered. Ah! Palace Master, save me! Ah! Cries of agony could be heard. The black-robed men were all at the Upper Void Realm. Although they were the weakest Upper Void Realm, there were 200 of them. How could a middle-level sect be a match for them? Kill! 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 When Kong Mok arrived, Ning Chui Palace was almost completely wiped out. Kong Mok brought more than 100 officials with him. His expression changed. The black-robed men destroyed Ning Chui Palace? They destroyed his forces in the North Divine Continent? Brr! Kong Mok roared angrily. Your Majesty, save me! Ma Daoquan roared in the battlefield. Kong Mok shouted. Yes. Boom! A group of experts charged into the battlefield. Kong Mok also charged into the battlefield. Mohina Dojin's face lit up with joy. Protect my son. Mohina Dojin shouted to the black-robed men behind him. Yes. The group of black-robed men replied. Whoosh! Mohina Dojin charged into the battlefield and appeared in front of Kong Mok in the blink of an eye. Mohina Dojin, it's you. Kong Mok's eyes flashed with anger. Mohina Dojin sneered, Kong Mok, it's impolite not to reciprocate. Don't leave a single one alive. Kill them all. Yes. The black-robed man with an evil aura immediately rushed forward. Kill them. Kong Mok shouted coldly. Yes. A group of officials quickly rushed into the battlefield. However, Kong Mok soon discovered that something was amiss. That was because those black-robed men were simply too powerful. Rumble. In the blink of an eye, Kong Mok's subordinates were all suppressed. Today none of you can leave. Mohina Dojin sneered. Might of the sun. Mohina Dojin shouted, and a huge golden light shot down from the sun, instantly enveloping Mohina Dojin. Mohina Dojin's body was covered in flames. Purple Star. Kong Imoku also activated the power of the stars. Suddenly the Emperor Star shot out a dazzling light. Mohina Dojin and Kong Imoku fought fiercely. Boom. A monstrous storm swept up in all directions. Kong Imoku and Mohina Dojin were in a deadlock, while the black-robed men were constantly slaughtering Kong Imoku's officials. Your Majesty, save me! The officials cried out in Jiaohu. Among the officials, Palace Master Ning Chui could no longer hold on and was killed by the 10 black-robed men. The 10 victorious black-robed men quickly rushed in front of Kong Imoku. Together with Mohina Dojin, they surrounded Kong Imoku and killed him. No, impossible. Kong Imoku shouted in shock. At this moment, Kong Imoku was actually suppressed by a group of black-robed men and Mohina Dojin? This was something that would have been impossible in the past. The power of the group of experts was like a miniature black hole, strangling Kong Imoku in the center. Yang Zigu held a huge round wheel in his hand that was like a sun, pressing down on Kong Imoku's long blade. Chapter 1007. Crack, crack, crack. Kong Imoku was in a sorry state. No! Kong Imoku screamed. He had yet to conquer the world, and he had yet to defeat all the heroes in the world. How could he die here? Kong Imoku's eyes were bloodshot. He was fighting against 20 people by himself as he fought against Mohina Dojin. Kong Imoku, today is the day you die. Mohina Dojin roared as he activated his Dharma treasure. Rumble. The air around them exploded violently. It seemed like Kong Imoku was about to die. Suddenly, a powerful aura descended from the sky. A huge bamboo slip came crashing down from the sky. The black-robed men's expressions changed when they sensed the enormous aura. 10 black-robed men shot up into the sky and slashed at the bamboo slip with their swords. However, the bamboo slip crushed everything into powder. Boom! The 10 black-robed men at the first-level upper void stage were instantly blasted away along with their swords. The huge bamboo slip came crashing down on Mohina Dojin. Mohina Dojin's expression changed, and he slammed the huge round wheel in his hand into the sky. Boom! The huge round will only lasted for a moment before it could no longer withstand the impact. It was a disaster that came crashing down on Mohina Dojin. Father! Yang Zigu cried out in shock from afar. After losing Mohina Dojin's encirclement, the pressure on Kong Moku was greatly reduced. While blocking the black-robed men, Kong Moku saw the bamboo slip in the sky. Kong Daoqiu stood on top of the bamboo slip. Kong Daoqiu stepped on the bamboo slip and pressed down with an unstoppable force. Celestial? Mohina Dojin's expression changed. Maori, you've crossed the line. Kong Daoqiu said coldly. Mohina Dojin's expression hardened. Cross the line? I'm the one who set the line. Celestial? So what? Mohina Dojin's eyes flashed with ruthlessness. Above Mohina Dojin's head, a black lotus flower suddenly appeared. The lotus flower spun slowly, and large amounts of black energy surged into Mohina Dojin's body. Mohina Dojin instantly turned pitch black, and at the same time, an extremely powerful and ferocious aura emanated from his body. As soon as the aura appeared, Kong Mok's expression changed. Stronger than last time? Kong Mok asked in surprise. Mohina Dojin punched the bamboo scroll. With a single punch, a gigantic pitch-black fist aura appeared. Boom! The fist energy collided with the bamboo slip, and the bamboo slip paused for a moment. Humph! Kong Daoqiu's aura of righteousness suddenly burst out, and white light radiated from the bamboo scroll. The bamboo slip sank again. Mohina Dojin's expression changed. It was obvious that he could no longer stop the bamboo slips from sinking. Lotus God, lend me your strength, lend me your strength. Mohina Dojin roared. With a roar, the lotus flower above his head suddenly surged with violent black energy again, and the black energy surged into Mohina Dojin's body. Crackle, crackle, crackle. Two enormous horns suddenly sprouted from Daolord Black Sun's head. Mohina Dojin's strength rose again. Boom. The fist aura exploded with even greater power, and the surrounding forest and land were instantly flattened by the aftershock. Even Kong Daoqiu was separated from Mohina Dojin by this ferocious force. Boom. Waves of air surged. The battle stopped. Kong Daoqiu pulled Kong Mok and retreated far away. All the officials of the Great Buddha Empire were dead, and none were left alive. Almost 100 of Mohina Dojin's subordinates had died, but there were still more than 100 black-robed men supporting Yang Zigu. Mohina Dojin, with horns on his head and a black lotus flower above his head, looked at Kong Mok and Kong Daoqiu with a ferocious expression. Brr! Mohina Dojin roared coldly. He looked at Mohina Dojin in shock. Kong Daoqiu took a deep breath and said with an ugly expression, "Let's go." He pulled Kong Mok and shot away. Mohina Dojin did not chase after them, and he watched coldly as the two left. On the way back, Kong Daoqiu's expression was ugly, as if he was thinking of something. Kong Mok was the same. Not only had he lost, but more than 100 of his officials had died, and even Ning Chui Palace had been destroyed. Everything was not going well? It was more than that. Chapter 1008. Fairy Palace. Yan Chuan held a document in his hand while Li Si stood in front of him. Your Majesty, this is how congealed Jade Palace was destroyed. It seems like the myriad profundity demonic lotus that Mohina Dojin refined is really extraordinary. Not only did it allow Mohina Dojin to fight against Kong Daoqiu, who was a celestial, but it also raised the strength of all 200 disciples to the first-level upper void stage. Li Si said in a deep voice. Yan Chuan took a look and passed the information to Bai Ditian. Bai Ditian quickly scanned through it. Finally he smiled. Meng San Sheng Mohina Dojin? There are still a lot of magical treasures and evil techniques in this world. Bai Ditian's words were very vague. He was sighing at Yan Chuan's dream of the heavenly secrets. The dream of the heavenly secrets was too miraculous, but there were countless secret techniques in the world. There might be some that could compare to it, just like what Mohina Dojin had done. Daolord Black Sun hadn't been idle for the past 50 years. Daolord Black Sun hadn't been idle either. Yan Chuan narrowed his eyes, then nodded and said, Another immortal? The great Jin Imperial Dynasty must ascend to the Celestial Dynasty as soon as possible. After this battle, we must find a way to pacify the great Zhao Holy Ground and obtain immeasurable merit to increase our providence and ascend to the Celestial Dynasty. Yes, Li Si replied. Your Majesty, this is the information I've collected during this period of time. It's the topographic map of the various sects' encampments. Li Si handed over another map. Yan Chuan took it, looked at it and nodded. Li Qing, you've worked hard. It's my duty. Li Si smiled. Yan Chuan nodded. It starts tomorrow. I wonder how much we will be able to gain from this selection. Yin Chuan sighed slightly. While everyone was talking, the holy maiden stepped into the grand hall. Everyone fell silent and looked at the holy maiden. Fairy walked in front of Yin Chuan. Although he could not see, there was a complicated expression on his face. The rules are out? Yin Chuan asked curiously. Zhao Feng nodded and handed over 2 jade talismans. Yun Xian has already sent all her disciples to inform the various elites. Every organization will receive 2 life talismans, said Zhao Feng. Taking the jade talisman, Yin Chuan asked curiously, life talisman? The Celestial Arcanum sect is shrouded in the Divine Slaying Life Formation, which is the fog outside. Once the Divine Slaying Life Formation is activated, it will directly affect the birth chart and seal the power of the birth chart. No matter how strong one is, they will be bound to be immortal. Zhao Feng explained. God-slashing life array? Yin Chuan's expression froze. These life talismans can counteract the power of the Divine Slashing Life Formation. Each side will have 2 of them, which means that you can only have 1 assistant. By then, the sea of fog will be hundreds of feet tall, and the area it occupies will be 10 times larger, covering all the bases. As long as you are forced out of the fog sea, you will be eliminated until the last person appears. Zhao Feng explained. Yin Chuan nodded. During this time, can you see me? Yes, I and everyone in the Celestial Arcanum sect can use the life-stealing art to see everything inside. Zhao Feng nodded. Yin Chuan smiled and nodded. Seeing Zhao Feng leave, Yin Chuan's eyes flashed with reluctance. Your Majesty, you seem to treat Fairy very differently? Li Si asked curiously. Differently? If I say she is my wife, would you believe me? Yin Chuan smiled bitterly. Li Si was surprised. At the same time, he seemed to be analyzing the authenticity of Huang Xiaolong's words. All right, all of you can fly out. Bai Diqian and I will be enough. Yin Chuan said solemnly. Yes. Lu Jin and Li Si answered. Chapter 1009. The Celestial Arcanum sect Sea of Fog began to expand. In the blink of an eye, it had expanded by 10 times, enveloping all the encampments. At the same time, the Celestial Arcanum sect's disciples, like Zhao Feng, flew to all the encampments and explained the rules. In a valley, Yao Tianshang and Bai stood with their hands behind their backs. It's about to begin. Have you gathered all the information? Bai asked. Yao Tianshang nodded seriously. Yes, everything is here. The God's Fate array before us is a good hunting ground. We will set off at midnight to subdue at least 4 sect leaders of the Northern Divine Continent. Bai said seriously. At Kong Mok's base, Kong Daoqiu and Kong Mok stood together. Have you sent everyone away? Kong Daoqiu asked. Yes. Kong Mok nodded. You have suffered a great loss in the battle with the Archaic Mysteries sect. The Archaic Mysteries sect no longer thinks highly of you. However, it's not over yet. As long as you win, there is still hope. Kong Daoqiu sighed. We will. With you and me together, no one can stop us. Kong Mok said solemnly. Kong Daoqiu looked at Kong Mok with a complicated expression. At Mohina Dojin's base. Father, it's about to begin? Is the Archaic Mysteries sect really that powerful? Yang Zigu asked curiously. I don't know, but back then Jing Ting held him in high esteem. Rumor has it that his Tao of seizing fate can even reverse the heavenly secrets. Don't worry, I'll definitely help you win the championship. Tao Lord Black Sun said solemnly. Thank you, Father. Yang Zigu said emotionally. At midnight, the Archaic Mysteries sect was surrounded by fog. However, there were many mountains that were more than 100 zhang tall. At the peak of the Archaic Mysteries mountain, a group of Archaic Mysteries sect disciples stood beside Zhao Feng and looked down at the fog sea. At midnight, the selection began. In the distance, there were many experts standing on the peaks of the mountains. These people could not participate and could only wait at the peak. At the peak of a mountain. The strength of the people in the fog sea is different. Won't the weaker ones be finished? Dongfang Jingpai asked curiously. However, Li Si shook his head and said, no, the weak have their advantages. They can easily form alliances and form alliances. In this selection, the process will not matter, only the results. Just as the countless cultivators in the surroundings guessed, the first loud sound rang out in the fog sea. Boom. With a loud bang, a large amount of sand and stones flew into the sky. However, the fog did not roll over at all. It was as if the fog was not affected by the impact at all. Clearly, an internal battle had begun. Inside the fairy palace, Yin Chuan and Bai Ditian stood at the entrance of the hall. It's starting, let's go. Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. With a flick of his robe, Yin Chuan led Bai Ditian into the fog. Yin Chuan had a goal in mind. He bypassed the experts and headed straight for the blood-sealing sect's encampment. Boom, boom, boom. When Yin Chuan and Bai Ditian arrived, the blood-sealing sect's encampment was in the midst of an intense battle. The blood-sealing sect's sect master brought along an elder and was currently engaged in a fierce battle with 2 other experts. Scarlet Red sect master, you are crazy. The blood-sealing sect's sect master shouted anxiously. Qin Shui, there is only one champion. Without you, my chances of becoming the champion are higher. The Scarlet Red sect's sect master smiled. Idiot. With our abilities, what are we compared to the other heroes? Can you defeat Kong Mok? Can you defeat Mohina Dojin and the others? We need to form an alliance and chase out those heroes first. Qin Shui shouted. Chapter 10:10. The Scarlet Red sect master frowned slightly as if he had realized something. His hand had also slowed down significantly. Who is it? Qin Shui suddenly exclaimed. Not far away, Yin Chuan and Bai Ditian were watching quietly. Yin Chuan? Not good. The Scarlet Red sect master exclaimed. Scarlet Red sect master, let's stop fighting first. Let's force Yin Chuan and Bai Ditian out first. Qin Shui shouted. All right. The Scarlet Red sect master nodded. Yin Chuan smiled faintly as the 2 charged out. Stop right there. The Scarlet Red sect master's expression changed. However, in an instant Yin Chuan and Bai Ditian arrived in front of him. Yin Chuan and Bai Ditian each attacked the Scarlet Red sect master and Bai Ditian. Boom. Bai Ditian clawed, and the person following the Scarlet Red sect master flew into the air. Yin Chuan's fist also clashed with the Scarlet Red sect master's fist. Get out. Yin Chuan glared. The Scarlet Red sect master was sent flying into the air. No. Why is it like this? The Scarlet Red sect master exclaimed gloomily. Boom. The Scarlet Red sect master flew 300 meters and lost his qualification in the blink of an eye. The Scarlet Red sect master was not severely injured, but he lost his qualification in the blink of an eye. This made the Scarlet Red sect master very depressed. After flying out of the fog, the life talisman in his hand suddenly shattered. Without the protection of the life talisman, the Scarlet Red sect master no longer had the courage to continue. Sect master, what should we do? The elder at the side asked. The Scarlet Red sect master's expression turned ugly as he said, What do you mean, what should we do? Go back. Below, Yin Chuan and Bai Ditian surrounded the Scarlet Red sect master and Bai Ditian. Qin Shui's expression changed as he tried to flee. Qin Shui was indeed an upper void realm cultivator, but he was much weaker than Yin Chuan and Bai Ditian. If he fought head-on, he would end up like the Scarlet Red sect master. Sect master, wait! Yin Chuan shouted. Qin Shui looked at Yin Chuan in surprise and doubt, but he still made a gesture of fleeing. Sect leader Qin, so what if you manage to escape today? Your Blood Seal sect is close to my Great Jin Imperial Dynasty. Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Blood Sealing sect? Close to Dejun? Qin Shui's expression changed. Yin Chuan, what is the meaning of this? Qin Shui's face was dark as he looked at Yin Chuan. At this moment he was unwilling to leave. Just now, Sect Master Qin advised the Scarlet Blood Sect Master. I can see that Sect Master Qin is a smart person. Naturally, you can see through my intentions. Yin Chuan said with a smile. You want my blood sealing sect to submit? Qin Shui sneered. Looking at Qin Shui, Yin Chuan said, Sovereign Qin, you should know very well how high your chances of success are in the Celestial Arcanum sect's God-making plan. Compared to me and Kong Mok, how high are your chances of success? Even if you are lucky, can the blood-sealing sect's power in the East Divine Continent stop the Great Zhen and Great Zhao? Qin Shui's expression changed. You are about to make a move? Not just us. The entire world is making a move. Why is the Celestial Arcanum sect in such a hurry to start the God-making plan? Even in the upcoming Great Calamity, the Celestial Arcanum sect is not confident of surviving alone. Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Great Calamity? The Celestial Arcanum sect is also... Qin Shui exclaimed in shock. At the same time his expression changed. Qin Shui had felt this for a long time, but he was never willing to admit it. Sect Master Qin, you are indeed a genius to have single-handedly established the blood-sealing sect. However, you must know that even these great sects with tens of thousands of years of history are not confident of surviving. What can you do? I believe you have already known that the Julu Academy has sent Sima Yintian to my great Gen as a subject. How is your blood-sealing sect compared to the Julu Academy? How is your blood-sealing sect compared to the Celestial Arcanum sect? Yin Chuan took a step forward. Qin Shui looked at Yin Chuan with a complicated expression. The blood-sealing sect is near my great Gen and also borders the Great Jiao Holy Ground. My great Jin Imperial Dynasty and the Great Jiao Holy Ground are about to have a decisive battle. Do you think the blood-sealing sect can survive alone? Yin Chuan smiled. What? You want to have a decisive battle with the Great Jiao Holy Ground? Qin Shui exclaimed in shock. What does the Great Jiao Holy Land count for now without the capital? Qin Shui, you are a talent. The Great Jin Empire urgently needs talents like you. The Great Jin Empire is about to take another step forward and become a heavenly empire. As long as you lead the blood-sealing sect to the Great Jin Empire as a subject, you will be opening up new territory for the Great Jin Empire. That will be a great achievement. After that, you will be able to enjoy the same karmic rank as you are now. How about it? Yin Chuan persuaded. I, Yin Chuan, promise to treat the blood-sealing sect well. I will treat all the subjects of the Great Jin Empire equally. Yin Chuan persuaded once more. Qin Shui's expression was extremely ugly. Sect Master. An elder at the side said anxiously. Don't be noisy. Let me think. Qin Shui took a deep breath and said. At the side, Yin Chuan and Bai Ditian waited patiently. Chapter 10-11. After a moment of silence, the blood-sealing sect's sect master hesitated. Sect Master, you are at the upper void realm. As long as you gather the virtue energy of the sect, no one can do anything to our blood-sealing sect. An elder said anxiously. Haha, no one can do anything to us? Not long ago, congealed Jade Palace was destroyed. Dozens of years ago, our Great Jin Army's generals each took down a middle-level sect. The world is in chaos. Sect Master Qin, are you sure you can fight for supremacy in this chaotic world? Yin Chuan asked again. The elder, this? Qin Shui thought for a moment, then looked at Yin Chuan and said, Yin Di, I want to know when you will send out your troops. After this battle, Great Jin will send troops to attack the Great Jiao Holy Ground. Yin Chuan said with certainty. Yin Chuan's affirmation dispelled all of Qin Shui's doubts. He smiled bitterly and said, What kind of treatment will Yin Di give my blood-sealing sect? Sect Master, you can't. My blood-sealing sect may not. The elder said anxiously. Qin Shui waved his hand to calm the elder. Shaking his head, he said, I was the one who founded the blood-sealing sect. I'm even more reluctant to part with it than you are. However, I understand myself even more. Reaching the level of a middle-level sect is my current limit. Perhaps in a few thousand years, my strength will have taken a qualitative leap and I will have even greater ambitions. But right now, I understand my position even more clearly. Elder Ma, you don't need to say anything more. Yes. The elder nodded angrily. Indeed, this one has studied your history. A promise is worth 1,000 gold. I hope Yin Di will treat blood-sealing sect well. Qin Shui bowed heavily. At the same time, Qin Shui took out blood-sealing sect's Tiansu. The elder could only kneel down unwillingly. Don't worry. Yin Chuan will do what I say. From today onwards, I bestow upon Qin Shui the title of blood-sealing uncle. The disciples of blood-sealing sect will be conferred another title at a later date. Yin Chuan nodded. This subject, blood-sealing uncle Qin Shui, greets your majesty. Qin Shui bowed respectfully. In the distant East Divine Continent, above the sea of merit clouds of blood-sealing sect, there was a sudden explosion. Boom. The surging merit flowed towards the Great Jin Imperial Dynasty, and nearly half of it was lost in the blink of an eye. Countless disciples of the blood-sealing sect looked at the sky in surprise. What happened? Why did my blood-sealing sect lose so much merit points? Sect Master, what happened? Countless disciples were Jiaohu, while countless officials of the Great Jin Imperial Dynasty were looking at the surging providence in the sky with a look of pleasant surprise. As for the other half of the merit points, they would have to wait for Qin Shui to return and inform all the disciples before it would all flow to the Great Jin Empire. Inside the sharpening God Life Array. In another place, Zhu and Yao Tianxiang were currently looking at the two men kneeling on one knee in front of them. The True Self sect, Wang Zhen and the entire True Self sect, are willing to serve the Yao Imperial Dynasty as subjects and pay our respects to your majesty. May your majesty live for 10,000 years. A kneeling man said respectfully. Aha, my beloved minister, please rise. I, Zhu, am a man of my word and I will not let you down. Zhu said with a smile. In the East Divine Continent and North Divine Continent, large amounts of merit points were surging violently, and countless merit points were being transferred and converted. Yan Xuan and Zhu continued to move around, and according to their information, they were constantly recruiting experts. Of course, there were many experts who were not willing at all. When the two of them tried to recruit them, they immediately went berserk. However, the two of them did not mind. The hunting ground was huge, and if one place was not enough, there were many more. At Kong Mok's location. Sect Master Ma, do you think your sect can stop the great Buddha imperial dynasty? Are you really not willing to submit to me? Kong Mok looked coldly at the two men who were bleeding from the corners of their mouths. Sect Master Ma wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said, "Humph, Kong Mok, a warrior can be killed but not humiliated. You pervert, I have already seen through you. I will not be subdued by you. Tui, let's go." Sect Master Ma brought a junior brother and soared into the sky, giving up on the opportunity in the blink of an eye. They flew out of the fog. Subdued? Kong Mok was slightly stunned. Then Kong Mok reacted and said angrily, "Submit your sister." At the side, Kong Daochio's expression was also ugly. Your mess is already deeply ingrained in people's hearts. Kong Daochio was speechless. Kong Mok's eyes were red with hatred. Yan Chuan Dong Fangjing faction Renshu, one day I will kill all of you. Boom, boom, boom. One by one, the cultivators were forced out of Great Jin, and one by one, the experts were eliminated. Some of the experts who were eliminated stayed on the peaks of the surrounding mountains, waiting for the final result. However, there were some people who turned around and left. Within the array, the battles continued. 10 days and 10 nights later. Most of the experts had been forced out. Beside a small lake, Zhu Yao Tianshang and 8 other cultivators looked coldly at the two people opposite them. Kong Daochio and Kong Mok. Zhu faced Kong Daochio. 30,000 years ago, the strongest person in the world? Kong Daochio said in a low voice. Zhu narrowed his eyes and said, 30,000 years ago, the Kong clan did not exist. Mafei, is your Kong clan from the celestial world? Kong Daochio smiled and did not explain. Are you not going to give in? Kong Daochio said in a low voice. Those who should have left have already left. There is no need to give in. Celestial? I also want to know how strong and celestial is. Zhu's eyes flashed with a strange light. I also want to know how strong the strongest person in this world is, other than Jing Ting. Kong Daochio's eyes flashed with a strange light. Boom. The two of them instantly charged forward. Their palms collided, and a huge impact exploded within the God life array. On the other side, Yao Tianshang led the other 8 experts and attacked Kong Mok from all sides. In another valley, Yan Chuan and Bai Ditian had already subdued 8 subordinates. At this moment they were looking at the other 2. It was as if they were forcing the other person to agree. Sect leader Wu, look behind me. The 4 sects behind me have already joined Great Shen. What does this mean? Yan Chuan smiled. Sect leader Wu's face darkened. What? It means the people's hearts, the situation, and the will of the heavens. Yan Chuan said solemnly. Sect leader Wu squinted his eyes and his face turned ugly. Looking at the 4 sect leaders who had already submitted to Great Shen, sect leader Wu's heart was filled with unwillingness. Just as Yan Chuan had said, joining Great Shen now was to open up new territory for Great Shen. Once Great Shen sent troops to take them back, they would have nothing left. Yet they had submitted to Great Shen just like that? Sect leader Wu's face changed drastically. Yan Chuan led 9 people and forced sect leader Wu and his disciple to submit. The battle in the distance continued, but the atmosphere was extremely tense. Yan Chuan? You are really ambitious. Suddenly a cold laugh sounded. Yan Chuan and the others turned to look. Mohina Dojin and Yang Zigu were standing halfway up a mountain. At this moment they were looking coldly at Yan Chuan and the others. Mohina Dojin? Yan Chuan's face darkened. Chapter 10-12. Yan Chuan's eyes flashed coldly as he took a step forward. Bai Ditian saw Yan Chuan's actions and understood that Yan Chuan did not want him to interfere. Morning? Yan Chuan said in a low voice. Mohina Dojin also looked coldly at Yan Chuan. Great Emperor Dezhen? What did I just hear? Are you prepared to attack my great Zhao holy ground? Mohina Dojin asked coldly. Mohina Dojin's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He was forcing Yan Chuan to admit it. If Yan Chuan did not admit it, it would show that Yan Chuan was weak and these subjects would betray Yan Chuan. However, if Yan Chuan admitted it, Mohina Dojin would not mind killing Yan Chuan right now. Everyone looked at Yan Chuan seriously. Yan Chuan smiled and said in a low voice, "A great Zhao without Jingming is no longer a great Zhao. Morning, we do not have much enmity between us. However, your son Yang Zigu has tried to kill me many times. If you hand Yang Zigu over to me, my great Zhao will be at peace with your great Zhao." "You Yan Chuan!" Yang Zigu shouted in shock. "Ah!" Mohina Dojin laughed loudly. His laughter was filled with murderous intent. As he laughed, his face turned sinister and a huge ball-shaped treasure appeared in his hand. Once the treasure appeared, it emitted a scorching light that suppressed Yan Chuan. Shing. The Jade Emperor's sword appeared and a blood-red light shot towards the huge ball. Boom. The huge explosion flattened all the mountains and rivers in all directions. Yan Chuan held the Jade King's sword and coldly looked at Mohina Dojin, who was holding the giant ball. "I'm no longer the same as I was back then. Do you think you can do anything to me with just this little trick? I heard that you have already refined the 10,000 Wonders Demonic Lotus. Take out the 10,000 Wonders Demonic Lotus," Yan Chuan coldly said. At the same time, he wanted to know just how strange the myriad Wonder Demonic Lotus was. Mohina Dojin's face sank, then he sneered, "Since you're courting death, then don't blame me." As he spoke, the spherical Dharma treasure in Mohina Dojin's hand covered Yang Zigu to protect Yang Zigu. Following that, a black lotus slowly floated above Mohina Dojin's head. The lotus slowly rotated, emitting an extremely evil aura. In the blink of an eye, it dyed Mohina Dojin pitch black. Rumble. The flames around Mohina Dojin's body suddenly rose. The huge aura caused the surrounding soil to move. Although Yan Chuan was confident, he did not act rashly. Instead, his pupils shrank and turned blood red. At the same time, Yan Chuan's hair suddenly grew long and turned blood red. Yan Chuan, who was holding the Jade King's sword, was suddenly surrounded by a bloody mist. Under his feet, a huge sea of blood suddenly appeared on the ground. The sea of blood roiled as Yan Chuan stood on top of it. The sea of blood continued to revolve around him as if a demon god had descended. The powerful aura was not any weaker than Mohina Dojin's. Boom. In the blink of an eye, the sea of blood surged towards Daolord Black Sun. Mohina Dojin's eyes turned cold. He formed a lotus hand seal with his hand. Boom. A huge black lotus illusion suddenly appeared on top of the sea of blood. Mohina Dojin stood on top of this huge black lotus illusion. The black lotus slowly rotated together with the 10,000 Wonders Demonic Lotus above Maori's head. In an instant, billowing evil aura rushed into the sea of blood. 10,000 swords. Yan Chuan coldly shouted. Suddenly, countless blood swords rushed out from the sea of blood and rushed towards Mohina Dojin. However, the evil aura quickly corroded. Yan Chuan sneered and threw the Jade King's sword towards the sea of blood. Chapter 10:13. Whoosh. The Jade Emperor's sword seemed to produce a strong suction force as it started to absorb the evil aura. How is that possible? Mohina Dojin exclaimed. How could the evil aura be absorbed by the sword? Slash. The Jade Emperor's sword slashed towards Mohina Dojin. Mohina Dojin opened his lotus hand seal as another lotus flew towards the Jade Emperor's sword. Boom. The sword and lotus clashed as a shockwave surged through the blood sea. Tens of thousands of sword chi waves rushed towards Mohina Dojin, but Mohina Dojin was safe and sound under the protection of the Black Lotus. Jade Emperor take. Yan Chuan shouted. Boom. The Jade Emperor's sword suddenly absorbed all the evil aura in the Black Lotus as it slashed towards Mohina Dojin again. How is that possible? 10,000 lotuses bloom. Mohina Dojin exclaimed. In an instant, a large number of black lotuses flew towards Yan Chuan. The Jade Emperor's sword in the air seemed to produce countless sword shadows as it clashed with the black lotuses. At the same time, the black lotuses were absorbed. In an instant, the 10,000 lotuses were destroyed. No, what sword is this? How can it restrain my evil lotus? Mohina Dojin exclaimed. As he spoke, Mohina Dojin quickly took out a long sword and clashed with the Jade Emperor's sword. Boom. The sword blocked the Jade Emperor's sword, but the evil aura could not stop the Jade Emperor's sword from absorbing it. Lotus God, help me. Mohina Dojin exclaimed. Yan Chuan's eyes widened as he shouted, Bai Di Tian. Whoosh. Bai Di Tian understood and reached out to grab Yang Zigu. Boom. The round wheel that was protecting Yang Zigu instantly shone with golden light. Yang Zigu, who was inside, was still affected by the shockwave. Father, save me. Yang Zigu exclaimed. When Mohina Dojin asked the lotus god for help, the lotus flower above his head once again emitted an extremely evil aura, which surged into Mohina Dojin's body. A pair of huge horns quickly grew out of his head, and Mohina Dojin's strength skyrocketed. At this moment Yang Zigu's Jiaohu came through. Bastard. Despicable. Mohina Dojin roared and pounced on Yang Zigu. Jade Emperor slash. Above the blood sea, the Jade Emperor's sword slashed out a massive sword aura towards Mohina Dojin. If Mohina Dojin were to save Yang Zigu, he would definitely be injured. If they did not save him, Bai Ditian would definitely attack again. Mohina Dojin did not hold back as the sword aura slashed towards Bai Ditian. Bai Ditian's expression changed as he countered with a palm strike. Boom. A powerful aura surged into the sky, and the entire battlefield was filled with the sound of explosions. Bam. Bai Ditian was sent flying back 1,000 feet by Mohina Dojin's palm strike. However, the Jade Emperor's sword instantly chopped off Mohina Dojin's left arm. Mohina Dojin reached out and grabbed the severed arm. He then looked at Yang Zigu, who had been saved. Within the giant sphere, Yang Zigu had been knocked unconscious by Bai Ditian, but he was still fine. Mohina Dojin heaved a sigh of relief. Yan Chuan, I will come and find you again. Next time you will die. With that, Mohina Dojin soared into the sky and instantly left with Yang Zigu. As he watched Mohina Dojin leave, Yan Chuan frowned deeply. Something was not right. Mohina Dojin had borrowed the lotus god's strength. At that moment his aura had been very strong. Even a super mystical ability could not deal with it. That was why Bai Ditian had chased after Yang Zigu to distract Mohina Dojin. However, Mohina Dojin's actions just now had made it seem like he would rather take a hit than let Yang Zigu get injured. His beloved son. If it had been someone else, Yan Chuan might have believed it. However, decades ago, Mohina Dojin had not cared about the lives of his other children. This made Yan Chuan understand that Mohina Dojin was a heartless person. Would such a person not care about his own life for his son? Chapter 10:14. This Yang Zigu definitely had a huge secret. Also Lotus God? Who was Lotus God? The energy released by the myriad profundity demonic lotus in that instant made Yan Chuan realize that this wasn't the energy of the myriad profundity demonic lotus itself. Instead, it was an extremely powerful mighty figure that was transmitting this energy to Tao Lord Black Sunday. Congratulations, Your Majesty, for severely injuring Mohina Dojin. Qin Shui shouted from not far away. The other officials also hurried over to congratulate him. Yan Chuan's mind was filled with thoughts, but he still nodded and echoed the crowd. Phew. The blood sea disappeared, and Yan Chuan turned to look at the two people that he was about to subdue. The two of them were hesitant previously, but when they looked at Yan Chuan again, they immediately understood. I am willing to lead the entire sect to submit to the Dezhen imperial dynasty. Long live Your Majesty. Sect leader Wu bowed respectfully to Yan Chuan. Celestial Arcanum Sect South. Mohina Dojin brought everyone and flew towards the southeast. On the way, Yang Zigu gradually regained consciousness. Father, I am the one who dragged you down. Yang Zigu said bitterly. Mohina Dojin grabbed his severed arm and reattached it to his body. The severed arm was quickly reattached and recovered in a blink of an eye. Mohina Dojin shook his head and said, It's nothing. The Jade Emperor's sword only absorbed some of my blood. I underestimated Yan Chuan. Father, if I was not the one who dragged you down with your strength, you would definitely be able to kill Yan Chuan on the spot. Father, the people from the Dezhao holy ground, as long as they are demonized by you, they would be incomparably powerful. Demonize me too. Yang Zigu said longingly. You. No, you must maintain your pure body. Mohina Dojin shook his head and said. But father, this time. Yang Zigu said anxiously. Don't say any more. Celestial Arcanum Sect? It's nothing. I have the help of the Lotus God. As long as that day comes, the entire world will be mine. Mohina Dojin said solemnly. But didn't you say that the Celestial Arcanum Sect in the Immortal Realm also? That's because I didn't understand the strength of the Lotus God. Just now I already felt it. Celestial Arcanum Sect? So what if it was the Tianji Sect of the Immortal World? In front of the Lotus God you are nothing. Mohina Dojin said disdainfully. Ah. As for Yan Chuan? Humph, it won't be long. Once the time is up, all of them will die. Mohina Dojin's eyes flashed with madness. Time? When? Yang Zigu asked curiously. Inside the sharpening god life array. Ju versus Kong Daoqiu. Rumble. As the two of them faced each other, ripples of airflow spread out in all directions. No one could get close to them within a radius of 10,000 miles. Open. Ju's eyes turned cold. Boom. The two of them separated, and the ground they were standing on turned into a huge crater with a diameter of 10,000 miles. The two of them looked at each other coldly. It was as if neither of them had won. However, in the next moment, Kong Daochio's expression changed as he looked at the sky not far away. Kong Mok had been forced out of the fog. He stood in the sky with an extremely ugly expression. Kong Daochio was stunned. Kong Mok was too disappointing. He was disqualified just like that? Kong Daochio again? Ju sneered. Ha, Ju. It seems like I have underestimated you. Kong Daochio's voice contained a trace of hostility. Ju shook his head and said, if it was in the past, I would have fought with you. However, this time the choice of the Celestial Arcanum sect is at stake. I need the Celestial Arcanum sect. Therefore I have no choice but to use this method. If there is another chance in the future, I will fight with you fair and square. Not far away, Yao Tianxiang flew over slowly with 8 people. Ju's goal was to stall Kong Daochio so that Yao Tianxiang and the other 8 could force Kong Mok out of the array and disqualify him. Kong Daochio looked at the crowd and finally let out an angry laugh. Ha, Ju. No one has ever made me so angry. Aha, I will remember you. As he spoke, Kong Daochio flew out of the array. He did not want to fight anymore. Because there was no point in fighting anymore. If he won, he would lose. If he lost, he would lose. He flew past Kong Mok. He looked at Kong Mok, who had a look of disappointment on his face. Umph. Kong Daochio walked towards the west and left alone. Kong Mok's face twitched. Chapter 10-15. Kong Mok left the Archaic Arcanum sect with the remaining 100 or so officials. Kong Mok's face darkened as he rode on the dragon horse. The officials followed behind him, but no one dared to say anything. Only the Prophet Buddha dared to step forward. Your Majesty, this trip is not going well. Let's go back. The Prophet Buddha advised. Go back? Kong Mok's face darkened even more. It was the same as the last time. No, it was even worse than the last time. Kong Daochio was disappointed in losing the right to participate in the God-making plan. More than half of his officials were killed and his reputation was ruined. Kong Mok's heart bled as he thought of this. All of this started with Yan Xuan. It all started with Yan Xuan. Your Majesty? No, we can't go back like this. Go to the Great Jin Empire, go to Yanjing. I want to destroy Yanjing first. I want Yan Xuan to pay the price. Kong Mok roared. The Prophet Buddha wanted to stop him, but when he saw the hatred in Kong Mok's eyes, he knew that he couldn't stop him. Sigh. The Prophet Buddha sighed. Forget it. Yan Xuan and Bai Ditian aren't in Yanjing. Yanjing shouldn't be a threat. Let's go to Yanjing. Kong Mok roared. Yes. The officials replied. East Divine Continent, Great Jin Empire, Yanjing. Imperial Astronomer Hall. Feng Yinyang sat cross-legged, his body emitting a faint green light. After a while, Feng Yinyang suddenly opened his eyes. Ghost Valley Secret Art? Just as I thought, the South Sect and the Northern Sect took a long time to comprehend it. How could it be so fast when the two sects combined? Ghost Valley? Am I really the reincarnation of Ancestor Guiguzi? Feng Yinyang frowned and thought. Just as Feng Yinyang was exclaiming about his increase in strength. Dong. A bell chime came from the outside world. Feng Yinyang walked out of the hall curiously and looked at a huge volcano in the distance. What a heavy chime. Is this Jin Dayu? Divine Emperor Bell? Feng Yinyang narrowed his eyes. In the distance inside the volcano. In the depths of the volcano. Jin Dayu looked at the huge golden bell in front of him. Jin Dayu's eyes were brimming with heroic spirit. Excitement flashed in his eyes as he said, I finally have some ability to protect myself. The Divine Emperor Bell has completed its first form. Even if I face Bai Ditian, I can still fight him. At the same time, in the residence of Dajin's first army commander, Huo Guang was in a deep sleep. While sleeping, Huo Guang's body was shrouded in a bloody aura that surrounded the entire bedroom. None of the servants dared to approach. In his deep sleep, Huo Guang's face was malevolent. Soon after, his face became solemn and stirring. Huo Guang had a strange dream. In the dream, he was wearing a suit of armor and holding a bronze sword in his hand. With tears in his eyes, he solemnly placed the sword on his neck. Heavenly Sovereign, Meng Tian has chased after you. My spirit is connected to the fate of the Heavenly Sovereign. If the Heavenly Sovereign dies, I die. If the heavenly sovereign reincarnates, I will follow you. Eternal immortality. In reality, Huoguang's body was trembling. In the dream, he used his sword to commit suicide on the spot. Plop. In the dream, Huoguang fell to the ground. As he was dying, he saw another scene. His disciple, Tan Lang, was also holding a long sword and shouting with tears of blood in his eyes. Heavenly Sovereign, Mengyi has chased after you. My spirit is connected to the fate of the Heavenly Sovereign. If the Heavenly Sovereign dies, I die. If the Heavenly Sovereign reincarnates, I will follow you. Eternal immortality. In the dream, Tan Lang committed suicide. Tan Lang fell to the ground and looked at Huoguang's corpse. As he was dying, he became blurry. Brother He. The greedy wolf laughed bitterly and stopped breathing. In the dream, Huoguang and Tan Lang died together. In the dream, the two of them died to follow the Heavenly Sovereign. They were Meng Tian and Meng Yi. Chapter 10:16. Deng. A bell rang from the outside world. Ah! Huoguang quivered and immediately woke up. Huoguang was covered in cold sweat, as though he had just been fished out of the water. Whoosh! A figure rushed into the hall. It was Tan Lang. Master, what's wrong? Tan Lang looked at Huoguang in surprise. Huoguang looked at Tan Lang. This was his brother in the dream? After a long silence, Huoguang said with a complicated expression, I had a strange dream. Dream? Tan Lang, let's not be master and disciple anymore. Let's be brothers. How about that? Huoguang said seriously. Tan Lang was confused. From today onwards, call me Big Brother. I will personally report this to His Majesty. Huoguang said seriously. Tan Lang was still confused. Archaic Mysteries Sect. Within the God-carving life formation. It had become the stage for Yen Chuan and Zhu. Victory. 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 The two were victorious all the way, defeating all the heroes. At the same time, they subdued all the heroes. The two did not bite off more than they could chew. They only did what they could. They only subdued the sect leaders of their respective divine continents. Zhu subdued 5 sections. By now, Yen Chuan had already subdued 6 sections. The two factions seemed to know of each other's existence. They seemed to have deliberately avoided fighting until everyone else was expelled from the God-carving life formation. Only then did the two slowly calm down. They did not leave. Instead, they rested and recuperated, waiting for the final battle. Outside the God-carving life formation, the Archaic Mysteries Sect disciples were also looking at the last 2 factions below. Yun Xian's eyes flashed with satisfaction. These 2 groups were too outstanding. Li Si and Meng Lingtian also landed beside Yun Xian and Heavenly Daughter. Congratulations, fellow Taoist Yun Xian. After such a huge wave of elimination, the 2 groups before us are about to decide the victor? And they are both heroes of the world. Meng Lingtian smiled. Yun Xian nodded. Sect leader Yun, I wonder which side sect leader Yun favors? Yen Chuan? Zhu? Li Si asked. As soon as Li Si spoke, Meng Lingtian's eyes lit up. Meng Lingtian's mind spun rapidly. That's right, who would the Tianji sect help? Yen Chuan? Zhu? Helping Yen Chuan was the best option. Li Si had already entered the Great Jin Empire. But what about Zhu? Did he have to consider the Julu Academy as well? Perhaps, Meng Lingtian looked at Li Si. Perhaps it would not be a bad idea to send Li Si to the Yao Imperial dynasty? After all, De Jun already had his great-great-grandson Meng Wenrua. Meng Lingtian's eyes flashed. He looked at Yun Xian. Yun Xian frowned. Zhu was the greatest person in the world 30,000 years ago. Actually, the Archaic Mysteries Sect had already investigated him 30,000 years ago and was extremely satisfied with him. After his reincarnation, he seems to be even more outstanding than before. As for Yen Chuan, he's even more extraordinary. In less than a century, he's already achieved what he is today. Ahihi. Yun Xian shook her head and stopped talking. Clearly, both of them were extremely optimistic. They did not want to express their opinions right now. Looking at how Yun Xian did not want to talk about it, Meng Lingtian and Li Si could only feel helpless. However, the heavenly lady at the side spoke up. If it came down to this, who would you choose? Choose who? Choose now. Everyone looked at Zhao Fang in surprise. Yun Xian looked at Zhao Fang in surprise as well. Can you tell us, sect leader? Zhao Fang asked once more. Looking at Zhao Fang's relentless questioning, Yun Xian finally smiled bitterly. Since the heavenly lady wishes to know, I'll share my thoughts as well. Chapter 10:17. Everyone looked at Yin Xian. I think highly of both of them. If there is no battle, I'm willing to let the archaic mystery sect become a vassal. However, if I have to choose one, I'm more willing to choose Yen Chuan, because his potential is too terrifying. Yun Xian took a deep breath and said, "Oh." Meng Lingtian was delighted. Zhao Feng was also slightly surprised. Of course, everything depends on the final battle. If Zhu can subdue Yen Chuan, I'm more willing to choose Zhu. Yun Xian smiled. Zhao Feng nodded as if he was secretly relieved, as if he was happy for Yen Chuan. As for Meng Lingtian and Li Si, there was no need to say anything. The two of them were praying that Yen Chuan would win. Finally, after resting for 2 days, the two sides began to gather at the center. The center was where the fairy palace was located. The two sides walked to the square of the fairy palace. They looked at each other. Yen Chuan took a step forward. Zhu also took a step forward. The two experts looked at each other. Yen Chuan. Zhu said indifferently. Have you rested well? Yen Chuan smiled. Aren't you the same? I didn't expect the final opponent to be you. Zhu sighed. The two experts were about to have their final battle. Countless cultivators in the surroundings were excited as they looked at the center of the square. However, at this moment, Yen Chuan smiled and looked to the north, in the direction of the archaic mystery's peak. Zhao Feng, can you hear me? Yen Chuan called to the north. Zhao Feng? Fairy? Why was Yen Chuan calling for a fairy at this moment? Everyone looked at Zhao Feng curiously. However, Zhu frowned. In the distance, at the top of the archaic mystery's peak, Zhao Feng was stunned. Then he became flustered. He even became anxious. However, Yen Chuan smiled and said, Do you still remember what I said to you that day? The God-making plan? I, Yen Chuan, don't care about it. I won't compromise for it or even give up my persistence. What? Countless cultivators in the surroundings revealed shocked expressions, causing an uproar. What kind of tone was Yen Chuan using? Does he not care about the God creation plan? The vassal of the Celestial Arcanum sect didn't care? Compromise? Persevere? What did he mean? The faces of the Celestial Arcanum sect disciples turned extremely ugly. The God-making plan was a vassal of the Celestial Arcanum sect. In the hearts of the Celestial Arcanum sect disciples, how sacred was that? Similarly, whoever was chosen would be honored. Everyone who participated in the God creation plan should be incomparably honored. Not only was Yen Chuan not honored, but he also didn't seem to care about it. Zhu also looked at Yen Chuan in surprise. The Celestial Arcanum sect was a mysterious and ancient sect. Was Yen Chuan really willing to part with it? Meng Lingtian stood beside Yun Xian and was filled with anxiety. Was Yen Chuan out of his mind? How much effort had she put in for him? Yun Xian's face became slightly ugly as well. Only Zhao Feng had a complicated expression on his face. There was even a moment of fear. You don't have to be like this. There's no need to persevere. Zhao Feng's voice trembled slightly. Li Si looked at Zhao Feng in surprise. Why was Zhao Feng so agitated? Yen Chuan shook his head stubbornly. There are some things that I can give up, like the God creation plan. However, there are some things that I must persevere with. Because I understand that if I give up today, I will regret it for the rest of my life tomorrow. You said that you will return to the immortal world very soon. However, I am willing to give up the Celestial Arcanum sect as the price for a heart-to-heart test between us. With that, Yen Chuan took out the world branch and pointed it at Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng froze momentarily. Come, I won't blame you. Let's have a heart-to-heart test. You and I will have no regrets. Yen Chuan shouted again. Everyone looked at the heavenly maiden in confusion. They didn't know what Yen Chuan was talking about. Chapter 10:18. Zhao Feng froze momentarily. Come, I won't blame you. Let's verify this once. We'll have no regrets. Yen Chuan called out again. Everyone looked at the fairy in confusion. They had no idea what Yen Chuan was talking about. Others might not know, but Zhao Feng knew it extremely well. Ever since Yen Chuan first mentioned it, Zhao Feng had been avoiding it. The conflict between her beliefs and her feelings made her unwilling to verify this fact. Yen Chuan said he was familiar with Zhao Feng. Wasn't Zhao Feng the same? It was like a feeling from the unseen world. However, Zhao Feng dared not touch it. But now Yen Chuan had already forced Zhao Feng into a corner. Even without the archaic mystery sect's assistance, he had to verify this fact. Come. Yen Chuan said firmly once more. Countless cultivators in the surroundings were confused. Even Yin Chuan's opponent, Zhu, was extremely curious right now. What was Yin Chuan trying to do with the branch of the world? Is there a need for this? Zhao Feng was troubled. At the same time she felt pity for Yin Chuan. Zhao Feng knew that Yin Chuan came from the Immortal's world. Once he used the branch of the world, traces of being measured would be left on it. Yun Xian would definitely revoke Yin Chuan's qualification. Yin Chuan smiled instead. The 4 Cs can't compare to a single finger of yours. Zhao Feng trembled slightly. It was as if a thin crack had suddenly appeared in the ice in his heart. Without any hesitation, Zhao Feng took a step forward and flew towards Yin Chuan. In the blink of an eye she arrived before Yin Chuan. The countless cultivators in the surroundings. Li Si was stunned as well. His Majesty had said that Zhao Feng was his wife that day. Was that true? Yun Xian and the others from the Archaic Mysteries sect fell silent. As if they had realized something, all of their expressions became mixed. Test it. Yin Chuan handed over the branch of the world. Zhao Feng bit her lip. After quite a while she said, "All right." A smile bloomed on Yin Chuan's face and his eyes became even more tender. Yin Chuan grabbed one end of the world branch, and Zhao Feng also grabbed the other end with her slender right hand. She said, "I only test the fate of marriage. In the past, if you and I were husband and wife, a red circle would appear." "All right." Yin Chuan nodded. "A married couple?" Zhu's expression changed. He immediately understood Yin Chuan's meaning. Yin Chuan came from the celestial realm? Then Yin Chuan was not qualified? Yin Chuan was no longer qualified, so Zhu was the only one left. However, Zhu didn't seem happy at all. Instead he felt a great sense of regret. Zhao Feng chanted a series of complicated incantations. At the same time, a white light shone from his palm. Rumble. The countless runes on the world branch seemed to jump and revolve around it. Yin Chuan stared at the world branch, waiting for the red circle of light. A red circle of light signified a lifetime of husband and wife? As he waited, he became more and more anxious. Half an hour later. Buzz. A red circle of light slowly appeared on the world branch. The circle of light became clearer and clearer. "Jinro, you're Jinro. You're really Jinro." Yin Chuan shouted excitedly. Yin Chuan cried. Tears welled up in his eyes. Jinro was alive. Jinro was resurrected? Yin Chuan's heart trembled. His greatest regret in his previous life wasn't the destruction of his country, but the fact that Jinro had fallen in his arms and he couldn't do anything about it. He even felt that Jinro's soul had dissipated. But now he discovered that Jinro was alive again. Jinro was alive again. Yin Chuan was so happy that he cried. The surrounding experts all had different expressions on their faces. Chapter 10:19. Yao Qinshang looked slightly excited, while Zhu looked slightly regretful. How is this possible? How is this possible? Meng Lingtian was extremely anxious in the distance. Li Si watched in silence. Yun Xian on the other hand sighed gently. Zhao Feng blushed as well. Was she really Jinro? Was she the Jinro in Yin Chuan's story in the past few months? Was she Jinro? Zhao Feng immediately panicked. Was the person before her really her husband? Jinro did not know what to do. Large cracks appeared on the ice in her heart again. However, things did not seem to be that simple. Just as Yin Chuan shed tears of joy and looked tenderly at Zhao Feng, the branch of the world changed again. Suddenly, another red halo appeared. Another one? Yin Chuan and Zhao Feng both looked at the halo in shock. The countless cultivators in the surroundings were extremely curious as well. Husband and wife for 2 lifetimes? Yun Xian said in surprise in the distance. Yun Xian understood what the halo meant. They had been husband and wife for 2 lifetimes. The probability was so low that it was almost impossible. Wang. Another halo appeared. Husband and wife for 3 lifetimes? A cultivator from the Archaic Mysteries sect cried out. Husband and wife for 4 lifetimes? Husband and wife for 80 lifetimes? Yun Xian actually cried out when she heard that. 80 lifetimes? They had been husband and wife for 80 lifetimes? How was this possible? This was impossible. There was no chance of this happening. Yun Xian rushed over as she cried out. Zhao Feng was also dumbfounded by the records on the branch of the world. Jinro had already made Zhao Feng speechless. How did they suddenly become husband and wife for 80 lifetimes? 80 lifetimes? I've reincarnated 80 times? And we're actually husband and wife? Yin Chuan said in surprise. Zhao Feng seemed to have forgotten about his panic. He looked at the halo in shock. Is it wrong? There must be a mistake. Zhao Feng shook his head and refused. No, it can't be wrong. You're the life usurper. I'll stop resisting. You calculate our 80 lifetimes. We'll be husband and wife for 80 lifetimes. Yan Chuan immediately cried out. And? Zhao Feng nodded. With that, Zhao Feng's palm glowed with white light and entered the first halo. How is it? Yan Chuan asked. Zhao Feng's expression became complicated. I saw it. In the first life, you and I were the eldest son and eldest daughter of two feuding clans. But in the end you were killed by both clans. Yan Chuan raised his eyebrows. In the second life you and I are both mortals. We will grow old together and die together. In the third life I was still a mortal. You were my disciple. We married but the world spurned us. In the end we both died for love. The fourth generation. In my 80th life I am Zhen Rou. Zhao Feng looked at the calculated images and for a moment he felt numb. The ice in Zhao Feng's heart continued to crumble. Looking at the scenes of this life, it was as if he had personally experienced it. Tears gradually flowed from his eyes. I see color. I understand what you said that day. Zhao Feng looked at Yan Chuan with a complicated expression. Zhen Rou. Yan Chuan smiled happily. Husband and wife for 80 lifetimes? A total of 80 lifetimes. Although Yan Chuan could not see the dozens of previous lives, it was enough for him to understand the reality of this moment. On the side, Yun Xian's expression was complicated. You came from the immortal world. Yun Xian sighed. No, I am still Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng shook his head with tears flowing down his face. Alright, as long as you are still you. Feng, come back with me. In this life we will not be separated again. Yan Chuan took a step forward. Zhao Feng closed his eyes, as if he was struggling with the past and present lives. Just as Yan Chuan was looking forward to it, boom! There was a sudden explosion in the sky. Feng. Following the explosion, a woman's voice came from the void. Zhao Feng quivered and looked up at the sky. Countless cultivators also looked up at the sky in shock. With the woman's voice, a terrifying aura spread out, immediately causing countless cultivators in the surroundings to tremble. An immortal? And an extremely powerful one at that? Meng Lingtian's expression changed. Master. Zhao Feng looked up. A white light descended and enveloped Zhao Feng. Return. The white light spoke again. Zhao Feng's expression immediately became complicated. He turned to look at Yan Chuan. Return. The white light continued to speak. Master disciple. Zhao Feng said with a complicated expression, tears flowing down his face. I already know about your matter. However, the common people are about to perish. Let go of your personal feelings. Let go. Let go. The voice was filled with sorrow. Zhao Feng was sobbing. However, Yan Chuan frowned and looked at the sky. You are Feng's master? Feng is my wife of 80 lifetimes. What right do you have to separate us? How can an ant know the will of heaven? The white light spoke angrily. Yan Chuan was about to reprimand him again when Zhao Feng suddenly said, No, don't talk about my master. Yan Chuan frowned slightly. You and I were finally able to meet, but master and grandmaster. Zhao Feng shook his head. Yan Chuan did not say anything else. 80 lifetimes, haha, 80 lifetimes. Zhao Feng's tears continued to flow. Feng. Yan Chuan said gently. Zhao Feng bit his lips and sobbed slightly. If fate doesn't change, I'll meet you in the immortal world. As he spoke, Zhao Feng let go of the world branch and soared into the sky. Feng. Yan Chuan called out. Zhao Feng's eyes were filled with tears, but he did not dare to look back. He soared into the sky, followed the white light and disappeared in the blink of an eye. He entered the immortal world. In the immortal world. Feng. It will be over soon. A female voice consoled him. Master, my heart hurts. Zhao Feng sobbed. Zhao Feng left, leaving Yan Chuan alone, feeling lost. The surroundings were completely silent. After a while, Yan Chuan finally regained his composure. Heaven? Immortal world? How can an ant know fate? Am I still an ant? Yan Chuan laughed bleakly. As he laughed, Yan Chuan's expression became more and more ferocious. Not only did this attack not defeat Yan Chuan, but it also ignited Yan Chuan's ambition. Whoosh! Whoosh! One by one, figures flew over quickly. Meng Lingtian, Li Si, Dongfang Jingpai, and Lu Jin all landed. At this moment, the archaic Arcanum sect's god-slaying life formation slowly retreated. The result was out and the formation was no longer needed. Your Majesty, Lu Jin said worriedly. Yan Chuan's expression slowly turned serious, and a cold, ominous glint appeared in his eyes. I'm fine. Yan Chuan suppressed his gloominess. Yan Di, I'm very sorry, but you can't participate in the God creation plan. At the same time, please fulfill your promise and return the world branch. Yun Xian stepped forward. Chapter 10:20. Yan Di, I'm very sorry. You can't participate in the God-making plan. At the same time, please fulfill your promise and return the world branch. Yun Xian stepped forward. The results were out as soon as Yun Xian spoke. Yan Chuan was disqualified. Only Ju was left. Meng Lingtian's expression was extremely ugly. However, Li Si remained silent. The officials all looked at Yan Chuan with complicated expressions. Yan Chuan slowly turned around. Because of his previous ferocious expression, his face was still filled with killing intent. Yun Xian frowned. Sect Master Yun, I'll fulfill my promise. What about you? Yan Chuan looked at Yun Xian. Yun Xian's wrinkled face slowly relaxed. She nodded. Don't worry, Yan Di. Please state your second condition. Yan Chuan looked at the archaic Arcanum sect disciples and handed over the world branch. The second condition is that no disciple of the archaic Arcanum sect can perform any divination on Great Zhen within 1,000 years. Yun Xian frowned. Does this condition go against your beliefs? Yan Chuan asked. Yun Xian smiled bitterly and nodded in the end. Yun Xian guarantee it. Yan Chuan nodded and handed over the world branch. Yun Xian accepted it gently with some excitement. Yun Xian checked it and immediately passed it to a archaic Arcanum sect elder behind her. The archaic Arcanum sect disciples passed it around excitedly. However, Yun Xian bowed to Yan Chuan. Thank you, Yan Di, for fulfilling my wish. Yan Chuan nodded gently. Then Yan Chuan looked at Ju. Congratulations, Yao Di. Ju smiled and nodded. Thank you. Yan Chuan nodded. Officials of Great Zhen, return with me. Yes, Your Majesty. The officials replied in unison. Wait. Meng Lingtian suddenly called out. At this moment, Meng Lingtian was anxious. Yan Chuan was giving up on the opportunity? Why was this happening? Yan Chuan narrowed his eyes and looked at Meng Lingtian. Meng Lingtian looked at Yan Chuan with a complicated expression, then at Ju and finally at Li Si. It was as if he regretted his wrong decision. Ju's expression changed and he immediately understood the problem. Meng Lingtian, did Li Si join De Zhen as a representative of Julu Academy? Ju asked. Not bad. Meng Lingtian's face lit up. The Demon Imperial Dynasty is in desperate need of talents. If Li Si doesn't mind, the Demon Imperial Dynasty is willing to make you a rank 5 Earl. I wonder what the two of you think? She said with a smile. Yan Chuan raised his eyebrows slightly. Was Ju trying to poach him in front of everyone? However, he couldn't be blamed. If he was in Li Si's position, he would have also spoken up. Li Si's ability was no small matter. He alone could fight against an army of millions. Thank you. Li Si, why don't you join the Yao Imperial Dynasty? Meng Lingtian laughed. The Demon Imperial Dynasty, the Archaic Arcanum sect, the Julu Academy, and the Lushan Academy formed a huge alliance in Meng Lingtian's heart. Such an alliance would be more stable in this chaotic world. Dongfang Jingpai panicked. Old Meng, I look down on you. Huh? What do you know? The world is about to change. I have to think for the Julu Academy. Meng Lingtian shouted. Dongfang Jingpai was about to scold him when Li Si suddenly stepped forward. Meng Lingtian. Li Si frowned. A servant does not serve two masters. I will only stay in De Zhen. My life is not for you to decide. Since I promised to repay the Julu Academy, I will do it. However, I will only use my own method. Li Si said solemnly. Chapter 10:21. You. Meng Lingtian's face darkened. Old Meng, are you having a headache? Dongfang Jingpai laughed. Meng Lingtian. Yan Chuan looked at Li Si with a hint of satisfaction in his eyes. Let's go. Yan Chuan flew into the sky. Li Si, Bai Ditian and Lu Jin followed closely behind. Then the subdued elites of the 6 major sects followed closely behind. The group of people flew towards the southeast in a grandiose manner. Ju narrowed his eyes as he stood on the peak of a mountain. This Yan Chuan isn't simple. Yao Tianxiang said with a frown. The only heroes today are Yan Xuan and Hua Er. Zhu said solemnly. A few months later, in the Great Jin dynasty's Yan capital, Kong Mok finally arrived with more than 100 officials, covered in dust. Kong Mok stood on the peak of a mountain. His eyes glinted with hatred. He looked up at the golden dragon of providence in the sky and unleashed a murderous aura. The 9-clawed golden dragon of Great Jin seemed to have sensed the murderous aura, and it roared in warning. Many of the Great Jin officials' expressions changed. Hua Guang stepped out of the Hua residence with the greed wolf. Jin Dayu appeared at the mouth of a volcano in the distance. Feng Yinyang stepped out of the imperial astronomer as well. Everyone could sense the murderous aura. They looked at a nearby mountain. Kong Mok said with a dark expression, Yan Xuan and Bai Ditian aren't here. Kill them all. Kill them all. Kill them all. Understood. More than 100 officials replied. A group of experts pounced on them. The upper void stage expert at the front slashed down with his energy saber. A heavenly saber beam descended from the sky as though it was going to cleave Yen capital in half. Bastard. Someone in Yen capital shouted coldly. Hua Guang pointed his spear at the sky. The astral spear, which was surrounded by endless blood fiends, shot up into the sky and collided with the astral saber. Boom. The spear aura surrounded by the blood aura struck, and the saber aura exploded. Feng Yinyang waved his hand. It was as if a sea of clouds had appeared all of a sudden, covering Beijing in an instant and protecting the people of Beijing. Following that, the rolling fog rolled towards the group of powerhouses. The moment Yinjing was protected, a bell rang in the distance. Clang. A blue sound wave quickly swept towards the group of experts. Kong Mok's group of experts screamed in pain. Hua Guang waved his long spear, and 3 experts were instantly blasted apart. The fog spread, instantly cutting off the alliance of all the powerhouses. Hua Guang wielded his spear and ferociously charged into the battlefield. Boom. In the fog, miserable cries could be heard. Feng Yinyang stared coldly at the battlefield. Zizi also walked onto the square. Yifeng walked over. On one hand he was protecting Zizi, on the other hand he was reporting what was happening. Empress, they're from the Great Buddha Empire. Kong Mok is leading them. Yifeng said. The Great Buddha Empire? Zizi's eyes turned cold. Pass down my order. Kill them all. Yes. Hua Guang was the reincarnation of a ferocious star and had gone through 10,000 years of baptism. Although he had just reached the upper void stage not long ago, his ferocious aura was unstoppable. One man and one spear could block thousands of enemies. Boom. One by one the powerhouses died under Hua Guang's spear. In the white fog, everyone lost contact with each other, and they were running around in confusion. How could this be? Kong Mok's expression changed. Chapter 1022. With a flip of his hand, Kong Mok was about to break the array. Boom. A gust of wind blew past, and Jin Dayu suddenly appeared in front of Kong Mok. It's you? Kong Mok's face darkened. Kong Mok, how dare you come here? Capturing you will definitely be a great merit. Jin Dayu said with a smile. Just you? Kong Mok sneered. As he spoke, he struck out with his palm, and a huge golden palm appeared in the void, grabbing at Jin Dayu. Dang. The Divine Emperor bell rang again, and another blue sound wave rushed out, stacking on top of each other in the air as it collided with Kong Mok. Boom. The sound wave and the golden palm collided, and the golden palm was shattered. Wah. A crow cawed and rolling grand sun primordial fire swept towards Kong Mok. No, your majesty, run quick. Prophet Buddha exclaimed. The grand sun primordial fire exploded, and Prophet Buddha's body was charred black as he blocked Jin Dayu's attack. More than 100 officials were trapped in an instant, and countless screams could be heard from within the fog. Jin Dayu suddenly became so powerful that Kong Mok found it difficult to kill him in a short time. No. Kong Mok couldn't believe this tragic reality. Let's go. Prophet Buddha made a prompt decision. He led the remaining dozen or so people and quickly fled. Escape? Where do you think you're going? Jin Dayu stared and shouted. Wah. Jin Dayu chased after them. Kong Mok and the others escaped. Prophet, I can kill that guy. He can't do anything to me. Kong Mok shouted. I understand, but your majesty, didn't you see it? The most terrifying thing isn't Jin Dayu, it's that inexplicable formation. That strange formation. Upper void martial artists. Even upper void martial artists would get lost if they enter it. Moreover, that formation is still expanding. Once it envelopes us, we won't have any chance to escape. Bastard. Kong Mok said with hatred. Your Majesty, let's leave quickly. The Dajian imperial dynasty is too strange, and we don't know how many more things there are, Prophet Buddha exclaimed. Jin Dayu immediately engaged in a fierce battle with the 6 experts, and Kong Mok and the others immediately fled. Chaos opening. Jin Dayu shouted angrily. Dang. A powerful impact instantly sent the 6 powerhouses flying into the forest in all directions. Wow. Jin Dayu transformed into the Golden Crow and chased after them again. The 6 experts who crashed into the mountain quickly got up, wanting to continue blocking Jin Dayu. Suddenly, a group of black-robed men appeared in front of each of them. A group of black-robed men blocked their path. One of the men's face sank and he suddenly slashed out with his sword. A black-robed man waved his long sword and immediately repelled the sword. Who are you? The group of black-robed men ignored him and looked at the leader instead. Pavilion Master. Everyone looked at the black-robed leader. Don't let any of them escape. Kill them all. The leader of the black-robed men said in a deep voice. Yes. The group of black-robed men replied. As for the leader, he quickly chased after Jin Dayu. After chasing him for half a year, they finally caught up. Kong Mok brought the Prophet Buddha out of the East Divine Continent. Your Majesty, Jin Dayu knows that he can't kill us, so he went back. Prophet Buddha said miserably. Kong Mok looked at himself and the Prophet Buddha. Most of their clothes were torn and they looked extremely miserable. For a moment, Kong Mok was extremely sorrowful. Your Majesty, we are injured, but Jin Dayu is also injured. He is more miserable than us. Prophet Buddha advised. Back then we should have killed Yan Chuan while he was still in the bud. I hate him. Kong Mok said hatefully. Your Majesty, please don't think about it. Prophet Buddha said bitterly. The Emperor and his minister were speechless for a moment, and they flew towards the West Divine Continent. Chapter 1023. Dajian Empire. Yin Capital, Upper Study Room. Outside the upper study room, Yi Feng, Hua Guang, Jin Dayu, Meng Wenrua, Li Si, and Lu Gang had all arrived. Lu Jin stopped them outside the upper study room. My lords, please wait. Lu Jin said politely. Who else is inside? Hua Guang asked. Lu Jin shook her head. Only His Majesty is inside. He might be thinking about something. Please wait for His Majesty's summons. The ministers looked at each other and nodded in the end. Inside the upper study room. Yan Chuan sat behind the desk and tapped his fingers on the armrest of the throne. He frowned as if he was thinking about something important. Mohina Dojin? Yan Chuan frowned as he tried to recall. That day, the power that the Lotus God imbued was so powerful that even Bai Ditian said it was nothing compared to him. With the help of the myriad wonders demonic Lotus, Mohina Dojin even created hundreds of powerful puppets. Puppets at the first level of the upper void stage? Even at the first level, the number of upper void stage puppets is terrifying. How many upper void stage puppets are there in the world? Yan Chuan picked up the teacup on the table and took a sip. He fell into deep thought again. Mohina Dojin already has such strength and influence, but he's still content with his territory? He doesn't care about Dajian at all? Perhaps there's only one explanation. Dao Monarch Black Sun is still waiting for something, and this thing that he's waiting for can allow his strength to undergo a qualitative leap? Yan Chuan's eyes suddenly narrowed and a bright light flashed. Lotus God? I must find out who this Lotus God is. After pondering for a while, Yan Chuan seemed to have made a decision. Hua Guang and the others were also waiting outside the main hall. They were slightly curious as to what Yan Chuan was thinking. Come in. Yan Chuan's voice sounded. Sirs, please. Lu Jin said with a smile. Everyone nodded and stepped into the upper study. Greetings, Your Majesty. Everyone saluted. Yan Chuan nodded. Your Majesty, the 6 middle sects that you subdued in the Archaic Mysteries sect have all submitted to the Great Jin Imperial Dynasty. Their merits have all been converted into fortune by the Great Jin Empire. Yifeng said. Although there are some people from the 6 middle sects who are not convinced, they have all been suppressed. The Great Jin Empire's army has already begun to garrison the major cities. All right. Yan Chuan nodded. In the East Divine Continent, other than the Dajiao Holy Ground, the Julu Academy and the Dajian Imperial Dynasty, there are only 9 middle-level sects left. Before His Majesty went to the Archaic Mysteries sect, he had already started making preparations to attack the Dajiao Holy Ground. Is it about to begin now? Yifeng asked again. Shaking his head, Yen Chuan said in a deep voice, "Wait a little longer." The ministers looked at Yen Chuan in confusion. "Lu Gang." "Yes, your majesty." Lu Gang immediately replied. "Increase the East faction's infiltration of the Dazhao Holy Ground by 5 times. Investigate everything about the Dazhao Holy Ground." Yen Chuan said in a deep voice. "Yes." Lu Gang replied. "There are still 9 middle-level sects left?" Yen Chuan narrowed his eyes. "Guang Yifeng Jin Dayu Meng Wenrua, Li Si, I want you to come up with an expedition plan within 3 days. I want to destroy the 9 sects first before attacking the Dazhao Holy Ground." Yen Chuan said in a deep voice. Everyone was slightly surprised. Expedition plan? His Majesty is not participating? Logically speaking, His Majesty should be in charge of this matter. "Yes." Everyone replied, but their hearts were filled with confusion. As though he saw through everyone's confusion, Yen Chuan explained, "I will not be participating in the expedition against the 9 sects for a period of time. I need all of you to work together. I want to find out what kind of existence this Lotus God is." "Ah, yes." Everyone replied. Only Li Si was slightly confused. Lotus God? Find out? How could he figure it out? 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. A plan for the expedition against the 9 sects appeared in front of Yen Chuan. Yifeng was in charge of overseeing the headquarters, the order of the expedition, and the deployment of various strategies. Li Si was in charge of the path of law, using the fastest speed to implement the laws of the Dazhao Holy Ground into the cities under their control, stabilizing the people's hearts, persuading the disciples of the various sects to surrender. Meng Wenrua was in charge of the imperial examinations, selecting the best talents to quickly fill the important official positions after the siege. Guang and Jin Dayu were in charge of the attack. Looking at the plan, Yen Chuan was extremely satisfied. He took out the great heavenly seal and stamped it. "Proof," Yen Chuan said in a deep voice. In the imperial court, Yen Chuan gave some instructions and left again. Inside the imperial palace, Xianyang Palace, Feng Yinyang once again arranged everything. Outside Xianyang Palace, there was a trace of reluctance in Zizi's eyes. "I'm right here. What are you worried about?" Yen Chuan said with a smile. Zizi sighed. "But your soul has already left the heavens." "Meow. Big liar, you said you'd take me, but you didn't take me to the immortal realm this time." Meow immediately cried out. "This is no small matter. I'll definitely take you next time." Yen Chuan smiled wryly. Meow Meow turned its head away in disbelief. "Meow, Yen Chuan's trip to the immortal realm this time is very important. Can't you see that he's going alone?" Zizi frowned. "Meow. I was just saying." Meow said, feeling wronged. "Alright, wake me up if you need anything. I really do have something important to do this time," Yen Chuan said. "Eh." Zizi nodded sensibly. They entered Xianyang Palace. Yen Chuan lay in the coffin with his eyes closed. Just like last time, there was a black jade talisman on top of his head. However, there was something different this time. Yen Chuan held a piece of wood in his palm. It was a small piece of wood from the branch of the world. When he returned the branch of the world to Yun Xin, Yen Chuan gently took a small piece from it. It was so small that it was hard to notice, but it was extremely important to Yen Chuan. Yen Chuan wanted to use this piece to find the world tree of the immortal realm. "Great soul, go." Feng Yinyang waved the black banner, and Yen Chuan's soul suddenly split into 200 pieces. They shot into the sky and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Boom. Xianyang Palace regained its peace. Zizi looked at Yen Chuan worriedly. Feng Yinyang said, "Don't worry, Empress. His Majesty has already instructed me to guard His Majesty for this period of time. If anything happens to His Majesty, I'll immediately wake His Majesty up." Zizi nodded. 200 pieces of soul rushed into the immortal realm and quickly scattered in all directions. 199 of them were used for cultivation like last time. Only one of them was wrapped in a verdant light and quickly traveled through the immortal realm. The most wondrous thing about the dream of heavenly secrets was its speed. It seemed to cross through space and appeared in the depths of the immortal realm in the blink of an eye. Yen Chuan also sensed that he'd suddenly possessed a man's body. "Xing'er, wake up!" A voice called out. With a start, Yen Chuan immediately woke up. He saw a dark-skinned old man with a face full of wrinkles. "Immortal?" Yen Chuan's expression changed. He knew he'd possessed a mortal this time. "Xing, are you feeling better now?" The old man asked with concern. Yin Chuan nodded. He did his best to hide the changes. Sai Jing, or don't even think about it. People like us aren't allowed to cultivate. No matter how good our constitution or talent is, we're not allowed to cultivate. You offended the immortals this time and were knocked unconscious. Next time, Sai, don't let there be a next time. Second uncle is old and can't take care of you for much longer. The old man advised. Not allowed to cultivate? Yin Chuan frowned and asked doubtfully. Your parents were just like you back then. They were too stupid and wanted to escape from this area. But how could they escape? The immortals are guarding this place. How can we mortals fight against them? Why do the immortals have to watch over us mortals? Yin Chuan didn't understand. You don't remember? The old man was surprised. My head hurts a little. I seem to have forgotten something. Tell me. Sigh, all right. I heard it from my father, your grandfather, when he was still alive. Do you know the giant tree to the east of us? I think it's called the World Tree. The immortals are very protective of it. World Tree? Yin Chuan's expression changed. He knew he'd come to the right place. The World Tree. Those immortals don't know how to take care of it. So after they surrounded it, they tried their best not to let anyone destroy it. The creatures inside also lived as usual. No one was allowed to disturb them. What? Your grandfather guessed that the immortals were worried about destroying the environment and causing the World Tree to die. After all, it was rumored that the World Tree had a period of time where it almost withered. Now no one dares to act rashly. We're not allowed to move our lives here. Maybe our corpses will become fertilizer for the World Tree. Maybe it won't. But the immortals don't dare to gamble. Xing, don't provoke those immortals anymore. Live well. In the future I'll find you a wife. Although the immortals are high and mighty, no one dares to attack us for fear of destroying the growth of the World Tree. Just be immortal in peace. The old man sighed. Yin Chuan nodded and said, I know. It's great that you can think it through. If there's anything, come to second uncle's house. Second uncle will help you. The old man said. After sending the old man away, Yin Chuan also looked around. The person possessed this time had parents who died early. He was immortal. But this was for the best. Yin Chuan didn't have to worry too much about the secular world. Walking out of his small yard, Yin Chuan looked to the east. There was a huge shadow. It was a giant tree. World Tree? Yin Chuan's eyes narrowed as he looked at the towering tree. The World Tree? It's about 10,000 feet tall. A tree that's 10,000 feet tall? Wait, this is a cypress tree? The World Tree is a cypress tree? Yin Chuan's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise. After looking for a while, Yin Chuan made a decision. Back in the house, Yin Chuan quickly prepared some dry food. Carrying a machete, he walked towards the World Tree. One man and one machete walked towards the World Tree in the distance. At the same time, on a mountain not far away, two old men in Taoist robes, one in red and one in white, were playing chess at the top of the mountain. What's that mortal doing? The old man in red asked curiously. Haha, isn't that young man the one who wanted to be your disciple some time ago? The old man in white suddenly laughed. Indeed, it's him. But I sent him back. Hasn't he given up yet? The old man in red was confused. That young man seems to be going to the World Tree. Indeed, we can't let him go. Can't let him go? No, you can't stop him. What if he hurts the World Tree? How can a mortal like him hurt it? The World Tree has lost more than half of its vitality. No one knows how to maintain it. What if the young man is summoned by the World Tree? If you stop him, what if the World Tree dies? You won't be able to absolve yourself of the blame. All the sects have given orders. No one is to disturb the ecology of this place. No matter what happens, no change. Our role as immortal guards is not to interfere with the inside, but to prevent anyone from outside from causing trouble. Are you saying that I hit the wrong young man that day? The old man in red frowned. The old man in white nodded. Strictly speaking, you did make a mistake. The people here have their own lives. Even if they come to be disciples, we just have to avoid them. We must not interfere. The old man in red frowned but did not refute. Chapter 1024. Although Yin Chuan's whereabouts were discovered by the two immortals, they did not stop him. Although they encountered a large number of wild beasts along the way, Yin Chuan was not the young boy before him. With a few tricks he made the beasts retreat. The two immortals, one red and one white, looked at Yin Chuan in the distance in surprise. The wild boar, bear, tiger, leopard, and wolf along the way were all driven away by a young boy who had never cultivated before. He had even used his weak mortal strength to kill a leopard? His journey was so smooth? The two immortals looked at this scene in astonishment. At the same time they paid more attention to the young boy. Yin Chuan walked all the way to the giant tree. After 3 months he finally reached the foot of the giant tree. The giant tree covered the sky. Standing under the giant tree he was like an ant. The trunk of the giant tree in front of him was like a giant mountain. However, this giant mountain seemed to be withering. Yin Chuan stood quietly under the giant tree. Yin Chuan's expression was complicated because he felt a sense of familiarity from the giant tree. It was as if there was a voice in the dark telling him to reach out and touch it. This feeling was very kind, even happy. Yin Chuan's expression was complicated. After thinking for a while, he finally reached out to touch the giant tree. "What are you doing?" Suddenly, an angry shout came from behind him. Yin Chuan paused and turned around. He saw 2 old men, one red and one white, behind him. The old man in the white robe looked confused, while the old man in the red robe looked angry. "Immortals?" Yin Chuan asked curiously. "Boy, you are not allowed to touch the world tree. Don't you know?" The old man in the red robe said coldly. "Why not?" Yin Chuan said in a low voice. "You don't need to know why. You are not allowed to touch the world tree. This is the rule of the world. Otherwise, if the world tree dies, you will not be able to absolve yourself of the blame." The old man in the red robe said coldly. 10,000 deaths are not enough to absolve the blame? Of course, Yin Chuan didn't believe it. The Tree of World had given him a very intimate feeling just now. Yin Chuan turned to look at the white-robed elder. The white-robed old man smiled and said, "That's right, kid. The world tree is a supreme treasure that protects the world. No one is allowed to touch it. We are here to guard the world tree." "But the world tree told me to touch it," Yin Chuan said in a low voice. "What?" the red-robed elder exclaimed. The white-robed elder also looked at Yin Chuan in surprise. "Brat, what did you say? You can communicate with the world tree?" the red-robed elder exclaimed. Countless immortals had tried, but they couldn't communicate with the world tree at all. They transferred their life force to the world tree, but the world tree remained indifferent. It gathered the vital energy of heaven and earth, but the world tree continued to wither. This made countless immortals very depressed. This young man could communicate with the Tree of World? If that was the case, then wouldn't the world tree be able to get whatever it needed through the young man? "I can't touch it? Then forget it," Yin Chuan said indifferently. "Don't." The red-robed elder smiled bitterly. "Brat, tell us clearly. Did the world tree really tell you to touch it?" the white-robed elder asked seriously. "It's just letting me sense it." Yin Chuan nodded affirmatively. The two immortals looked at each other and finally nodded. "Then kid, try touching it." Yin Chuan nodded and said, "No one is allowed to disturb me while I'm touching the world tree." The two immortals were stunned. They had become his guards? After saying that, Yin Chuan ignored the two of them and reached out to touch the Tree of World. Buzz. The moment he touched the world tree suddenly shook as if it was trembling with excitement. Swoosh. The world tree shook crazily as if it was happy about something. Buzz. A green energy suddenly rushed into Yin Chuan's soul. Rumble. The world tree shook. At the same time, it crazily extracted nutrients from the ground. Countless plants around the world tree suddenly withered and the ground quickly became desertified. Endless vitality was being extracted. The desert spread into the distance. 1,000 feet, 1,000 feet, 10,000 feet, 1,000,000 feet. The two immortals looked at this scene blankly as if they were dumbfounded. The ground was becoming desertified? The mission of the two immortals was to ensure that the surrounding ecological environment would not change. But now, the ecological environment was not changing? It had become as bad as a desert. This was a dereliction of duty, a serious dereliction of duty. The sect would definitely blame them. The red-robed elder was about to fly into a rage and push Yin Chuan away, but the white-robed elder pulled him back. Because the white-robed elder found that the world tree was recovering its vitality. That withered part actually sprouted a new shoot. Shoots? The world tree was recovering its vitality? Kid, look at what you've done. The red-robed elder shouted angrily. Don't touch him. Great, great. The world tree can be saved. The red-robed elder shouted excitedly. What? The red-robed elder also came to his senses. In an instant, the red-robed elder's anger disappeared, and his face was filled with excitement. The world tree can be saved. The white-robed elder said excitedly. The world tree suddenly extracted a large amount of vitality and grew rapidly. As it swayed, the sky suddenly turned blue. Blue light shot into the sky as if it was happy and ecstatic. In the sects near the world tree, countless cultivators suddenly saw the blue light shooting into the sky. A large number of cultivators flew toward the world tree quickly. The changes to the world tree affected the minds of billions of cultivators. A blue energy flowed into Yan Chuan's soul. Yan Chuan looked at this scene in surprise. Yan Chuan could actually feel the world tree's emotions. Cypress? You were on a hunger strike before? Yan Chuan felt this ridiculous fact in shock. The tree was on a hunger strike? This tree was too unique. My soul? Because of my soul you gave up on your hunger strike? You were happy and excited? Could it be that my soul has something to do with the cypress? Yan Chuan frowned as he pondered. Yan Chuan took in the blue energy for a while and stopped because Yan Chuan knew that he would explode if he took in any more. Letting go of his hand, Yan Chuan looked at the cypress in front of him with a complicated expression. Kid, the red-robed immortal from before said in surprise. Yan Chuan looked around. The ground was deserted, and the leaves of the world tree suddenly became much more lush. The two immortals stared at him with wide eyes. Yan Chuan knew that with such a big commotion, many strong cultivators would definitely come in a while. You two, the world tree just gave me some information but I don't understand it. Please tell me. Yan Chuan said. Oh? The two were surprised. Information from the world tree? You two, do you know the lotus god? Yan Chuan said in a low voice. Lotus god? The red-robed elder immediately exclaimed. Oh. Yan Chuan was surprised. The people in front of him knew the lotus god? That's great. No wonder. The white-robed elder nodded. Who's the lotus god? Yan Chuan asked again. The two said bitterly, you wouldn't understand even if I told you. But since you asked I'll tell you. The lotus god is the most powerful demon. Heaven is dead and the heavenly Tao collapsed. Although he didn't do it himself, heaven's death was completely planned by him. The collapse of the heavenly Tao was also caused by him. He can't die. Lotus god? Killed heaven? Collapsed the heavenly Tao? Yan Chuan gaped in shock. He had thought that the lotus god was just a powerful immortal in the immortal world. But no matter how powerful an immortal was, could he kill heaven? Could he collapse the heavenly Tao? The two immortals nodded solemnly. Yan Chuan. Mohina Dojin had the lotus god's help. How could he fight him? How does the lotus god compare to goddess Jiqin? Yan Chuan asked again. In ancient times, goddess Jiqin was one of the strongest in the world, but she was far from comparable to the lotus god. The lotus god? He's not human. Our world was almost destroyed by him. The world tree was also killed by him. No wonder he couldn't forget about the lotus god. The white-robed elder smiled bitterly. Then is there anyone in this world who can fight against the lotus god? Yan Chuan asked expectantly. No. Unless the world can give birth to a transcendent, someone who can live forever like him. Otherwise, if he comes, our world will be destroyed. The white-robed elder smiled bitterly. Yan Chuan. What was going on? Was the lotus god that terrifying? Then why didn't the lotus god come? Yan Chuan asked curiously. The two immortals looked at each other and shook their heads. We don't know. Ha! Yan Chuan was stunned. That's all we know. The great calamity of ancient times, the death of the heavens, and the collapse of the heavenly Tao were all planned by the lotus god. As for the lack of news about the lotus god, we don't know why. The white-robed elder shook his head. Yan Chuan. By the way, do you know what happened to the world tree? The two immortals immediately asked Yan Chuan. The world tree? You don't have to worry about it in the future. Give it enough vitality and it can absorb it. And me, the world tree gave me information that might erase a part of my memory. If the two of you have time in the future, please take care of me. Yan Chuan sighed. As he spoke, Yan Chuan's body trembled and his soul left his body. He used the dream of heaven's secret poison to quickly leave and disappear into the distance. As for the young man who was possessed by Yan Chuan, he quivered and his eyes became numb. Kid, are you okay? The red-robed elder called out. The young man slowly regained consciousness. When he opened his eyes, he saw the two immortals. Immortals? You're an immortal and you're willing to accept me as your disciple? That's great, I'll kowtow to master. The young man immediately knelt and stood up. Thump, 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 thump. Red-robed immortal? White-robed immortal? The two immortals were petrified. The young man's memory was erased by the world tree? So fast? Whoosh. A white light landed in front of them. It was a golden-haired man. Disciple, what happened just now? The golden-haired man asked anxiously. I don't know. The two immortals said blankly. What? It's him, this young man. The red-robed immortal said immediately. This young man? What did he do? I don't know. The two immortals asked again. The golden-haired man was depressed. Were these two disciples stupid? The two immortals were also speechless. Everything happened too fast. How could they explain it? Chapter 1025. 10 years later. Dazhao Holy Ground. Dazhao Hall. Father, your child's cultivation is at the lower void realm, and I can't go any further. Please use the myriad wonders bewitching lotus to help me. Yang Zigu pleaded. Mohina Dojin looked at Yang Zigu and his eyes narrowed. He shook his head and said, No, I can find you any heavenly treasure you want, but you can't touch the myriad wonders bewitching lotus. Do you want to be like the others? Yang Zigu's face changed. I don't want to be like them, a puppet without my own thoughts. But, Father, aren't you fine? Because I control the myriad wonders bewitching lotus. Mohina Dojin said solemnly. Hearing Mohina Dojin's words, Yang Zigu felt dejected. Seeing Yang Zigu's dejection, Mohina Dojin's eyes flashed with satisfaction. Yang Zigu retreated, and Mohina Dojin looked at Yang Zigu's back, his eyes narrowed. 9 physiques, the number of suns. In 361 years, you will be able to connect to the sun's energy. Soon, 361 years? It's almost there. Mohina Dojin sneered. Yang Zigu left the Dazhao Hall, but Yang Zigu soon returned with a Dazhao Holy Ground disciple. Holy Lord, it's not good. The disciple shouted. What's wrong? Mohina Dojin asked solemnly. Holy Lord, the great Jin Empire is attacking the various sections. This disciple just received news that 2 Middle Realm sects were crushed by the great Jin Empire, and 1 Middle Realm sect has chosen to submit. The disciple said worriedly. 3 more sects? 3 more? Father, the great Jin Empire is too fast. How many sects are there in the East Divine Continent? Does it really want to unify the East Divine Continent? Yang Zigu exclaimed. Father, in the East Divine Continent, there are only the Dazhao Holy Ground, the Julu Academy, the Great Jin Imperial Dynasty, and 6 middle sects left. The Great Jin Imperial Dynasty is constantly fighting. Will it advance to the Celestial Empire? Yang Zigu asked worriedly. Father, do you still remember the news from 3 months ago? During the invasion of the Southern Divine Continent, they encountered an ancient sect, the Nether Cave sect. They originally thought that it was just a mid-tier sect, but they didn't expect that the Nether Cave sect was hiding in Immortal Nether Cave. Immortal Nether Hole charged into the Great Nightmare Celestial Dynasty, but he was crushed by King Nether Guy with the might of the Great Nightmare Celestial Dynasty. Yang Zigu recalled. Those are immortals. Father, once Dezhen ascends to the Celestial Empire, will it be the same and be able to resist immortals? Then we won't be able to do anything to him. Yang Zigu said worriedly. Celestial Empire? Mohina Dojin's eyes narrowed. Father, you have to kill Yan Chuan while he's still growing. Father, killing Yan Chuan is as easy as flipping your hand. Destroying Dezhen is also as easy as flipping your hand. You can't let him grow any stronger. Yang Zigu said with a savage expression. Mohina Dojin's eyes flashed with a trace of difficulty. He had borrowed the power of the Lotus God so he could even kill immortals. He didn't need to fear Yan Chuan's celestial empire. However, borrowing that evil power would definitely harm him. The more he borrowed, the greater the damage. Father, Dezhen's providence has already reached a terrifying level. Once it completes its ascension, it will be too late. Yang Zigu continued to tempt him. Mohina Dojin stood up gently and nodded. That's right. Killing Dezhen now is as easy as flipping my hand. Yes, Father. Destroy Yan Chuan. No, it's best if you cripple Yan Chuan's cultivation and hand him over to me. Let me have a taste of him. Yang Zigu said with a savage expression. Mohina Dojin looked at Yang Zigu and narrowed his eyes. Wait for me to return from Yenjing. It's about time. Chapter 1026. It's time? What time is it? Yang Zigu asked blankly. Don't worry and stay in the Great Zhao Holy Land. Don't be a burden to me like last time. I'll leave 300 upper void stage evil puppets behind and wait for my return. Mohina Dojin said in a deep voice. 300 upper void stage experts? Father, don't worry. Although these 300 are puppets, they're strong enough. It's just that I'm too careful. Otherwise, they'd be enough to sweep the world. Back then even Jingting couldn't compare to you. How powerful was the Great Zhao Holy Land back then? Yang Zigu flattered. Although Mohina Dojin did not dare to criticize Jingting, he still felt very comfortable when he heard Yang Zigu's words. Leaving 300 evil puppets to protect Yang Zigu, Mohina Dojin led 200 evil puppets into the sky and flew towards Yanjing. The immortal world. Yan Chuan's soul, which was attached to the world tree, left his body and quickly left. He used the Dream of Heaven's secret art to arrive at an extremely secluded valley. He did not return to Xianyang Palace because once he returned, all of his souls would return together. As for the other souls, Yan Chuan still hoped that they would accumulate birth charts. In the valley, Yan Chuan's soul sat cross-legged, refining the green energy given to him by the world tree. This energy is actually used to nourish souls? Moreover, it's from the same root as me? In fact, Yan Chuan's soul looked at his palm in surprise. A large number of light spots flashed around the soul, surrounding Yan Chuan like stars. Heavenly cycle stellar technique. However, at this moment the countless light spots were constantly being compressed. From surrounding Yan Chuan's body, they slowly compressed into his palm. Countless stars revolved around Yan Chuan's right palm as though he was holding a galaxy. The stars revolved around his palm, looking extremely mysterious. Universe in the palm? I finally mastered it? Back then, the two techniques that appeared in his dream were the Dream of Heaven's secrets and this universe in the palm. Although there is only one galaxy in my palm, it is much more powerful than the heavenly cycle stellar art. Yan Chuan's soul sighed as he looked at the galaxy in his palm. World tree? Cypress? There will be a day when I will come back. Yan Chuan's eyes flashed with determination. West Divine Continent, Confucius Academy. Kong Daoqiu stared at a small mountain pass in the Confucius Lu Academy. He stood respectfully. Old ancestor Daoqiu heard correctly. Mohina Dojin did shout Lotus God, that day. Kong Daoqiu said solemnly. Lotus God. A dignified shout came from the valley. Kong Daoqiu nodded. Yes, Daoqiu definitely didn't mishear. I once heard the patriarch casually mention this person. Therefore, when Daoqiu fought with him, we immediately separated and didn't continue to tangle with him. The Lotus God has reappeared? He's connected to this world again? A surprised voice came from the valley. This was the first time Kong Daoqiu had heard the patriarch speak in such a surprised tone. Old ancestor, is this Lotus God very strong? Kong Daoqiu asked in surprise. Strong, more than strong. A bitter laugh came from the valley. Kong Daoqiu was stunned. This was the first time he had heard the patriarch speak in such a depressed tone. Fortunately, the Lotus God has only established a connection and bewitched the puppet Mohina Dojin. Although it is powerful, it is still within a controllable range. A relieved voice came from the valley. Kong Daoqiu looked at the valley in surprise. Daoqiu. The patriarch called. Daoqiu is here. Send the news to the Archaean sect, the Celestial Arcanum sect, the Great Tragedy Dynasty, the Julu Academy, the Dugu family, and other sects that have connections to the immortal realm. They all know the terror of the Lotus God. Then join forces to encircle and annihilate Mohina Dojin and completely destroy the demon Lotus. The patriarch said seriously. Chapter 1027. Kong Daoqiu was stunned. Did the old ancestor mean to gather the strength of the entire world to destroy Mohina Dojin? Wasn't this a little too exaggerated? Is Mohina Dojin really that strong? Kong Daoqiu was shocked. It's not Mohina Dojin that's strong. Who does he think he is? The main reason is because of the Lotus God. As long as the Lotus God puppets remain, if you return without success, I will send the news to the immortal world. At that time, 10,000 immortals will descend upon this world. The old ancestor sighed. Kong Daoqiu was stunned for a while, but he nodded seriously in the end. Yes. Under Kong Daoqiu's arrangements, the news quickly spread to all corners of the world. Southern Divine Continent, Great Calamity Dynasty. A messenger stood in front of King Guai. King Guai opened the letter. He skimmed through it. Lotus God. King Guai immediately exclaimed. Middle Divine Continent, Archaean Sect's sacred grounds. A messenger also stood in front of Meng Sanxing. After opening the letter, Meng Sanxing carefully skimmed through it. Gradually, Meng Sanxing's expression turned serious. Lotus God? Lotus God? Go back and tell Kong Daoqiu that the Archaean Sect's sacred grounds will come. Meng Sanxing shouted. Yes. East Divine Continent, Julu Academy. Meng Ling Tian looked at Kong Daoqiu's letter, confused. Beside Meng Ling Tian was another white-robed elder. The white-robed elder took the letter from Meng Ling Tian. His initial curiosity gradually turned into a solemn expression. Something big is going to happen. The Myriad Wonders demonic lotus is actually a chess piece of the lotus god? The white-robed elder's expression changed. North Divine Continent, Archaean Sect. Yun Xian was discussing something with Ju. Ever since she chose Ju, she wholeheartedly planned for him. At this moment, an elder entered the hall with a Confucian scholar. Junior brother, why are you here? Yun Xian asked curiously. Senior brother, this is Kong Daoqiu's messenger. Kong Daoqiu sent this letter. We actually didn't notice it that day. We almost caused a disaster. The elder lamented. Yun Xian took the letter and read it. As she read, her expression changed drastically. Ju took it and read it as well. What's wrong? Ju curiously. Lotus God? It was actually Lotus God? Go and report to Kong Daoqiu. The Archaic Mysteries sect will definitely participate. Yun Xian said solemnly. Yes. The Confucian scholar nodded and retreated. Lotus God? Who was this person? It actually made your face change color like this? Ju said gravely. If the Lotus Goddess doesn't leave, the world won't be at peace. Yun Xian smiled bitterly. You mean to go to the Dazhao Holy Land together and kill the Lotus God that is the puppet Mohina Dojin? You asked curiously. Exterminate? Don't joke around, Your Majesty. We're already extremely fortunate to be able to chase away its attention. It can't be killed. It's immortal. It's invincible. It's invincible. It's invincible even in the Immortal's world. Yun Xian smiled bitterly. Invincible even in the Immortal world? How could there be such a person? Ju was surprised. He was the one who killed the heavens. He was the one who collapsed the heavenly laws. How can he not be powerful? Yun Xian smiled bitterly. Ju. Like Yen Chuan, Ju was stunned. Someone who killed heaven? This wasn't just heaven-defying, it was practically destroying the heavens. The heroes of the world moved as soon as they heard the news. At this moment, Mohina Dojin led 200 evil youths to Yanjing City. Everyone landed on the peak of a mountain. 200 evil youths. That was 200 Upper Void Realm cultivators. Mohina Dojin's strength could affect the heroes of the world. Naturally, his strength was even more monstrous. At this moment, Mohina Dojin led a group of evil youths and looked around Yanjing with killing intent. Chapter 1028. Feng Yinyang's reincarnation. Pool. Mohina Dojin and his 200 Xiaoyu stared coldly at Yanjing. Although the Xiaoyu did not have much self-awareness, their strength was at the first stage of the Upper Void stage. If the Great Jin sect was just an ordinary middle-level sect, it would have ended up like Ning Chui Palace back then. There was no second possibility. Mohina Dojin landed on the peak of the mountain and scanned Yanjing. Yen Chuan, come out. Mohina Dojin shouted. Boom. His voice was like a thunderclap that spread throughout Yanjing. Countless citizens stopped what they were doing and turned to look towards the south. Brr. The golden dragon of Dajin's providence roared. It grabbed the Sea of Providence and looked coldly at Mohina Dojin. Bai Ditian raised his eyebrows and walked out of the Tiger God Temple. Yi Feng and Lu Gang also walked out and looked into the distance with solemn expressions. They turned around and headed straight for the Skyward Palace. As for Hua Guang, Jin Dayu and the others, they were not in Yanjing. Purplish stepped out of the Skyward Hall with Miao Miao in tow. Empress, it's Mohina Dojin and 200 Upper Void stage puppets. Yi Feng looked terrible. Miao. Miao looked into the distance. I'll call His Majesty, Zizi said. With that, Zizi headed straight for Xianyang Palace. Bai Ditian, on the other hand, quickly flew to the Skyward Palace. Yen Chuan was not there, so Bai Ditian stood in front of him. Mohina Dojin? What are you doing here? Bai Ditian asked in a low voice. In the distance, Mohina Dojin sneered. Bai Ditian, get lost. Otherwise I'll kill you too. Aha, don't you remember that time at the Archaic Mysteries sect? Didn't you still lose? Bai Ditian tried to stall for time. Defeated? Just because of Yen Chuan? Mohina Dojin said disdainfully. Mohina Dojin could also tell that Bai Ditian was stalling for time. However, Mohina Dojin did not mind and was even willing to cooperate with Bai Ditian. This was because Mohina Dojin wanted to wait for Yen Chuan to appear. Xianyang Palace. Zizi rushed over with Miao. Empress. Feng Yinyang said respectfully. The matter of the morning is no small matter. I must wake His Majesty up. Zizi said. In front of outsiders, Zizi still had to protect Yan Chuan's dignity, so she also addressed him as Your Majesty. Feng Yinyang nodded and said, "This subject will hold back Mohina Dojin. Empress, wake up His Majesty. His Majesty might need some time to get used to his body after waking up. Empress, you don't have to worry about me." "Yes." Zizi nodded. Feng Yinyang strode out of the Xianying Palace. Quang. The doors of the Xianying Palace slammed shut. Soul's return. According to Yan Chuan's instructions before he left, Zizi used the black banner and shouted, "Whoosh!" The Yin Qi in the entire Xianying Palace roared. Surrounded by the rolling Yin Qi, Yan Chuan's aura was released. Rumble. After the coffin trembled, it seemed to form a huge suction force. In the blink of an eye, Yan Chuan's soul shot down and entered Yan Chuan's body. Whoosh. Another 2 souls returned. Whoosh. The souls returned one by one. In just 5 minutes, all 200 souls had entered Jiang Yi's body. Yan Chuan opened his eyes. He was slightly startled, as if he was sorting through 200 memories. With the Xianying Palace closed, nothing from the outside world could enter. After a while, Yan Chuan slowly woke up. Meow. Yan Chuan, Mohina Dojin is here. Meow immediately jumped onto Yan Chuan's shoulder. Chapter 1029. Yan Chuan smiled faintly and said, "It's fine, let me raise my cultivation first." As he spoke, Yan Chuan flipped his hand and took out a huge high-grade spirit stone that was as tall as a person. Rumble. In the blink of an eye, the energy in the spirit stone was absorbed by Yan Chuan, and it turned into a pile of powder. Meow. My spirit stone. It's so big, but it's gone in the blink of an eye. You wastrel. Meow immediately began to jiaohu. This was not an ordinary spirit stone. It was a high-grade spirit stone. It was gone in the blink of an eye? Yan Chuan ignored Meow Meow and continued to absorb the spirit stone. Countless amounts of energy quickly entered his body. Piles of powder appeared. It was as though a knife was cutting off Meow's flesh. Meow immediately bared her fangs and brandished her claws. My spirit stone. My spirit stone. Meow cried out bitterly. Meow Meow. Zizi hugged the crazed Meow Meow. Zizi smiled bitterly and said, "Meow, you have so many spirit stones every day. It's not enough for you to eat." Meow gradually regained her senses. Meow. I forgot. However, Yan Chuan really doesn't treat spirit stones as spirit stones. I can't stand it anymore. Pfft. Zizi was amused by Meow Meow. With 200 souls cultivating in the celestial realm, Yan Chuan's strength was also rising rapidly. 3rd level upper void stage. 4th level upper void stage. At the entrance of Skyward Hall. While Bai Ditian was stalling for time, Feng Yinyang slowly walked to the square of Skyward Hall. Feng Yinyang called out, "Exalt Bai." Feng Yinyang smiled and said, "Your Majesty might have to wait for a while. Right now, Your Majesty might not have to make a move. Why don't we join forces?" Bai Ditian looked at Feng Yinyang in shock. Bai Ditian knew about Feng Yinyang's strength, but Mohina Dojin had 200 upper void stage martial artists under his command. Feng Yinyang smiled and turned to look at Mohina Dojin. Mohina Dojin narrowed his eyes. Feng Yinyang? Mohina Dojin, if you want to see His Majesty, it depends on whether you have the ability to do so. Feng Yinyang said lightly. Oh, you. Mohina Dojin said disdainfully. With me, Mohina Dojin, what do you think? Feng Yinyang said lightly. Mohina Dojin sneered and said, "Your words reminded me that Yan Chuan is a coward. I'll kill his important officials and see if he still comes out. Go raise Yan Jing to the ground and kill everyone in the Chaotian Palace Square." Mohina Dojin said coldly. Yes. The 200 evil Qi replied immediately. Ghost Valley Maze. Feng Yinyang said lightly. Bus. In an instant, Yan Jing was covered in fog. It protected the people of Yan Jing just like when they were facing Kong Mok. It even formed a huge maze, separating all the evil Qi that had rushed inside and making them lose themselves in the fog. Lord Bai, with this jade talisman you can enter and exit the maze as you wish. Although these 200 people are strong, they are separated by my formation. I'll have to rely on you to kill them one by one. Feng Yinyang said as he handed over a jade talisman. That's not a problem. However, that Mohina Dojin is not simple. Bai Ditian said worriedly. Leave it to me. Feng Yinyang said firmly. All right. Bai Ditian nodded as he rushed forward. Feng Yinyang, on the other hand, took a step forward and a huge circular pool appeared beneath his feet. Reincarnation pool? Lu Jin, who was not far away, was surprised. But a ripple appeared in the reincarnation pool, and a skeleton with a powerful aura slowly emerged from within. Chapter 1030. This immortal is about to reincarnate. Who dares to disturb this immortal's reincarnation? The skeleton's voice was muddled as it shouted angrily. It's him, Mohina Dojin. Feng Yinyang pointed at Mohina Dojin, who was outside the formation. Outside, Mohina Dojin did not see the reincarnated immortal that Feng Yinyang had grabbed from the reincarnation pool. Instead, he only saw the fog enveloping his subordinates. Bastard! Mohina Dojin's eyes flashed with anger. This maze formation's power was average, but its hallucination effect was extremely powerful. His 200 subordinates were trapped in the formation in the blink of an eye. Die! Bai Ditian's angry roar came from within the formation. Roar! An evil chi roared. Boom! 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 The two powerhouses began to fight each other. One was at the first level of the upper void stage, while the other was at the 10th level of the upper void stage. Although they were able to resist for a while, they were no match for Bai Ditian. Ah! Bam! With a miserable shriek, the evil centipede exploded with a loud bang. Although he could not see what was inside, Mohina Dojin immediately analyzed the situation through the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus. You want to kill my evil chi? Mohina Dojin was enraged. Mohina Dojin reached out and struck the formation with his palm. Boom! The maze formation shook, but it did not break. Obviously, Mohina Dojin's raw power was not enough. However, the maze formation shook and it seemed like it was not far away. Mohina Dojin's eyes flashed with a cold light. Buzz! The 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus suddenly appeared above his head, and a black energy quickly entered Mohina Dojin's body. Whoosh! Mohina Dojin's body instantly turned pitch black, and an extremely evil aura surged from his body. His strength suddenly skyrocketed. Mohina Dojin believed that with his current strength, he could completely destroy the formation. Break for me! Mohina Dojin roared. He slammed his palm toward the formation. A massive palm energy materialized in the void. It shook and created a rolling storm as it charged toward the Ghost Valley maze. Under the giant palm, the people of Beijing all felt a monstrous pressure. Just as the giant palm was about to hit the formation, a pale white skeletal palm suddenly emerged from within the white fog formation and collided with Mohina Dojin's giant palm. Boom! The huge impact was like thunder from the 9 heavens, causing the ears of countless people to ring. Mohina Dojin was not only unable to break out of the formation, but was also sent flying by the claw, a distance of 1,000 zhang. Who? After stabilizing himself, Mohina Dojin's expression changed drastically. How is this possible? The power of a human immortal? Is this the power of a human immortal? Within the formation, a 3-man tall skeleton slowly flew out. The 2 eyes of the skeleton were emitting a dark blue light of hatred. Stop me from reincarnating. I will kill you. Roar. The skeleton roared toward the sky. Violent energy surged toward Mohina Dojin. Mohina Dojin's expression changed. He knew that he had underestimated the strength of the guards of Beijing. Lotus God, lend me your power. Mohina Dojin roared again. Buzz! The 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus suddenly spun. Waves of black energy quickly entered Mohina Dojin's body. Crack! Crack! A pair of giant horns suddenly grew on Mohina Dojin's head. The evil chi on Mohina Dojin's body surged again. At this moment, Mohina Dojin's energy was no weaker than that of the skeleton immortal. With a ferocious face, Mohina Dojin said coldly, Immortal? So what? I'll still destroy your body and soul. Chapter 1031. Beside the reincarnation pool, Feng Yinyang was panting heavily. His hands were trembling as sweat dripped down his forehead. It was not easy to capture an immortal from the reincarnation passage. Back then, the grave ghost fire had sacrificed its lifespan to capture an immortal. The strongest immortal that the grave ghost fire had captured was only a Xian immortal. Feng Yinyang had already reached his limit by capturing a mortal immortal. At least at this moment, that was the limit of Feng Yinyang. In the maze of the Ghost Valley, Bai Ditian was killing Xieyu. Even though Xieyu was not as strong as Bai Ditian, it was still an upper void realm cultivator. How could it be so easy to kill? The battle continued. In the sky, the mortal immortal skeleton was fighting against the second-level demonic Mohina Dojin. After the second demonic transformation, Mohina Dojin grew a pair of horns on his head. Every move he made could bring about a vast storm. Roar. You dare to disturb my reincarnation? Die. You're the one who's going to die, Lian Hua. In the storm, Mohina Dojin was fighting the Immortal alone. Under the huge impact, sand and stones flew everywhere. Outside Yanjing, the people were in a terrible situation. Smoke and dust rose into the sky. The two experts clashed again and again, creating a series of loud sounds that shook people's souls. Boom, boom. In the distance, countless people who were not on the battlefield trembled in fear when they heard the sound. On the reincarnation pool, Feng Yinyang's face turned ugly. Others could not see the battlefield, but Feng Yinyang could see what was going on through the Immortal. The second-level demonic Mohina Dojin was too strong. Even the mortal Immortal skeleton was suppressed by Mohina Dojin. At this moment, a large number of cracks appeared on the skeleton's body. Brr. The mortal Immortal skeleton roared. Break. Mohina Dojin's face was hideous. Boom. The left arm of the human Immortal skeleton exploded into pieces. The human Immortal skeleton let out a miserable cry. Right arm shatter. Mohina Dojin's voice was still ferocious. At the same time, an evil fist came crashing down. The right arm of the human Immortal skeleton exploded once again. The worldly Immortal skeleton who had lost both of its arms suddenly glared at Mohina Dojin. Those who humiliate me die. Roar. The human Immortal skeleton also seemed to have gone mad. Its dark blue eyes suddenly turned blood red. He rushed towards Mohina Dojin. Mohina Dojin snorted coldly and punched the skeleton's chest with his right fist. Crack. A single punch had shattered the skeleton's chest. However, the skeleton did not move. Instead, it wrapped its legs around Mohina Dojin. Kaka, let's die together. Hong. The human Immortal realm skeleton exploded. The huge impact instantly flattened the surrounding mountains and rivers. At the location of the explosion, it was as if the void had collapsed. Endless chaotic airflow flowed rapidly. Everywhere it passed, all living things were destroyed. The lake and sea evaporated. Under the impact, even the Ghost Valley maze rippled. Feng Yinyang looked into the distance with a hint of anticipation in his eyes. The self-explosion of an Immortal? Although it was the lowest level of the human Immortal, the power of the self-explosion was not something that mortals could withstand. Even an Immortal would be seriously injured. Rumble. Under Feng Yinyang's expectant gaze, the void in the distance slowly calmed down. The clouds within thousands of miles dispersed and gradually revealed a black figure. He's not dead? Feng Yinyang's face darkened. It was Mohina Dojin. Mohina Dojin's clothes were mostly torn. More than half of his left arm was broken and bleeding. However, Mohina Dojin seemed to be even more furious. Chapter 1032. Roar. Tao Lord Fury Sun let out a loud roar, causing another series of explosions to ring out in the surroundings. Rumble. 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 Bastard, all of you must die. Mohina Dojin roared with hatred. Mohina Dojin reached out his hand and struck at the Ghost Valley's maze formation. Boom. The entire Yanjin shook under his attack. Boom. The Ghost Valley's maze formation shattered. Suddenly, Xiaoyu and Bai Ditian were exposed. Bai Ditian had already killed 100 Xiaoyu, and another 100 had escaped. He was furious. Roar. Mohina Dojin led the Xiaoyu, and their evil aura soared into the sky. The entire southern sky seemed to be dyed black by this angry evil aura. The powerful aura made even Bai Ditian's expression change drastically. Mr. Feng, can you summon another Immortal? Lu Jin asked anxiously. Feng Yinyang smiled bitterly and said, summoning one Immortal is already my limit. Then what should we do? Lu Jin asked worriedly. Feng Yinyang closed his eyes as if he was making an important decision. I'll stop Maori. Feng Yinyang, you take care of those puppets. Bai Ditian said solemnly. Now let me do it. With my lifespan I'll try summoning one more time. Feng Yinyang said bitterly. Just as Feng Yinyang was about to summon the reincarnated Immortal, Mohina Dojin suddenly charged at him from afar. Yanjin? Destroy it. A black ball of light suddenly appeared in Mohina Dojin's palm and smashed towards Yanjin. The moment the ball of light appeared, it was like a black hole that swallowed everything. The wind and sand were instantly sucked into the ball of light. It was as if Yanjin had been swallowed by the ball of light when it landed on it. Help. Many civilians were suddenly sucked into the air by the ball of light. Brr. The nine-clawed golden dragon suddenly roared, and its dragon head slammed into the ground. Boom. The 9-clawed golden dragon crashed into the black ball of light. Countless civilians were saved and fell from the sky. Your Majesty, save me. For a moment the people of Beijing were screaming. Many of the injured people were crying. After the 9-clawed golden dragon broke through the black ball, it landed on the Sea of Providence again. When the 9-clawed golden dragon moved, everyone understood that Yan Xuan had made his move. Many people hovered in the air, turning their heads to look in the direction of the palace of Xianyang. Xianyang Palace. Yan Xuan, in a black dragon royal robe, stood coldly at the entrance of the palace of Xianyang. Zizi was standing behind him, holding Miao in her arms. Yan Xuan looked coldly at Mohina Dojin in the distance. Yan Xuan? You finally came out. You should be satisfied that everyone in Beijing will die with you. Mohina Dojin roared. Kill. Under Mohina Dojin's command, 100 evil qi rushed towards Beijing under Mohina Dojin's command. Outside the palace of Xianyang, Yan Xuan suddenly snorted. Yan Xuan suddenly reached out his right hand, and there seemed to be a strong suction force on his right hand. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The 100 evil qi couldn't resist at all. In an instant they were sucked into Yan Xuan's palm. Yan Xuan's palm was like a world, no, a galaxy. In Yan Xuan's palm was a compressed galaxy. 100 evil qi were sucked into the galaxy in an instant, and they were lost in it. Stop pretending. Mohina Dojin charged towards Yan Xuan in disbelief. Universe in the palm. Yan Xuan said coldly. Chapter 1033. Rumble. Countless stars instantly surrounded Mohina Dojin. With an extremely strong force, Mohina Dojin was sucked into Yan Xuan's palm. Around Yan Xuan's palm a few stars floated, but most of them were in the center of his palm. Mohina Dojin and 100 evil puppets were all sucked into the universe in the palm. Feng Yinyang by Ditian Lu Jin Yi Feng, and the rest were all stunned as they watched this scene. Is this real? Bastard, where is this? Let me out. Mohina Dojin's Jiaohu voice came from the center of his palm. Yan Xuan looked coldly at his palm and urged the stars to revolve quickly. Whoosh, whoosh. The stars of an entire galaxy revolved, producing an extremely terrifying strangling force. Rumble. As the strangling power skyrocketed, Tao Lord Maelstrom instantly felt a crushing force pressing down on him from all directions. Ah! An evil puppet in the distance screamed as its body changed shape. Bam! One of the evil puppets exploded. Bam! Bam! One by one evil puppets exploded as they were squeezed by the power of the stars. Yan Xuan extracted the evil aura. The Jade Emperor's sword suddenly flew out and quickly extracted the evil aura. It seemed to be enjoying it as it trembled slightly. 100 evil puppets were killed in the blink of an eye. They were all destroyed. Only Mohina Dojin was left in the universe in the palm. Bastard, bastard. Mohina Dojin screamed and waved his fists around. However, there was no opponent in the universe in the palm. His fists seemed to hit the air. However, the killing force of the stars was not affected. It ruthlessly twisted Mohina Dojin. Could he only take the hits? No. Yan Xuan, let me out. Do you dare to fight me fair and square? Mohina Dojin exclaimed. This is what being upright means. Yan Xuan said coldly. Ka 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 ka. The strangling power of an entire galaxy quickly acted on Mohina Dojin's body. Mohina Dojin's strong body began to crack. Yan Xuan stared at his palm. The universe in the palm was too powerful. Yan Xuan even wondered how much he had achieved in his previous life. How could a universe in the palm force Mohina Dojin into such a state? And this was just one galaxy. If there were tens of thousands of galaxies, how terrifying would it be? Rumble. No. Mohina Dojin screamed. However, Yan Xuan did not care about Mohina Dojin. He stared coldly at his palm and watched the strangling. Boom. Tao Monarch Black Sun exploded with a loud bang. His physical body was instantly torn apart. A large amount of evil qi surged out and was absorbed by the Jade Emperor sword. However, there was still something inside. It was a black lotus. The 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus. The 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus was still fine? Boom. The 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus suddenly emitted a black light and rushed out of Yan Xuan's universe in the palm. Yan Xuan's face changed and he slashed with the Jade Emperor sword. However, the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus was too fast. It instantly shot into the sky and shot towards the north. Yan Xuan, I will be back. I will be back for revenge. Mohina Dojin's voice came from the sky. Miao Yanchuan, you are so powerful. Miao exclaimed. You only destroyed Mohina Dojin's body. The Lotus God is indeed powerful. Even under such circumstances, it could still escape with Mohina Dojin's soul. Yanchuan frowned and said in a low voice. At this moment, Feng Yinyang by Ditian, and the others also rushed to Yanchuan. Seeing the stars on Yanchuan's right hand slowly dissipate, everyone fell silent. It was obvious that they had been defeated by Yanchuan's universe in the palm. Chapter 1034. Boom. In the Great Jin Empire, the Sea of Providence clouds surged violently. Following that, surging Providence rapidly converged towards Dezhen. Roar. The Golden Dragon of Providence let out an excited roar. Your Majesty, is the increase in Dezhen's Providence caused by the destruction of Maori's body? Yifeng asked in shock. Yanchuan nodded and said, that's right. Maori is the sacred lord of Dazhao. In terms of momentum, the defeat this time caused the Dazhao sacred ground to suffer a great loss. The loss of merit was seized by me, Dazhao. Your Majesty, I've attained great fortune and have already reached this level. When can I ascend to the Celestial Empire? Yifeng asked again. Nations are different from sections. Sects are blessed by heaven, while nations are forbidden by heaven. Once a nation reaches the state of emperor dynasty, if it wants to advance further, it has to defeat sects of the same level and take their karmic rank. Only then can it advance further. Yanchuan said seriously. In other words, we must flatten the Great Zhao Holy Land before our Great Jin can advance to the Celestial Empire? Yifeng said solemnly. Yanchuan nodded. Yifeng did not ask about what had just happened, but Bai Ditian and Feng Yinyang stared at Yanchuan's palm in shock. Your Majesty, did you just kill 100 upper void stage cultivators? And almost killed Mohina Dojin? Feng Yinyang exclaimed. Yanchuan nodded lightly and said, I had some fortuitous encounters in the immortal world this time. Fortuitous encounter? Everyone was speechless. It had only been 10 years or so, and Yanchuan already had the power to destroy immortals? This was more than just a fortuitous encounter. Your Majesty, are we going to attack the Great Zhao Holy Land now? Yifeng asked again. No, let's first take down the surrounding middle-rank sections. We can't take down the Great Revelation Holy Land yet. Yanchuan said solemnly. Yes. How many of the 9 middle sects have you taken in? Yanchuan asked doubtfully. Reporting to your Majesty, 3 of them have already joined our Great Jin Empire. 1 more has pledged allegiance in secret and is cooperating with our army. 2 of them are hesitating while the last 3 are determined not to obey. They even have the determination to fight to the death. Yifeng explained. Choose one of the 3 sects that refuse to comply and make an example out of them. Yanchuan said with a cold look in his eyes. Yifeng looked at Yanchuan in surprise and finally said solemnly, yes. Yifeng could tell that Yanchuan was anxious, but he didn't understand why. However, he still carried it out accurately. Yanchuan was anxious because Yanchuan understood more. He couldn't help but feel anxious. Lotus God? It was like a knife hanging over his head. If there had been no news of the Lotus God, it would have been fine, but now the Lotus God had appeared. The Lotus God had rolled back the earth. The myriad wonders demonic lotus was just a prelude. Yanchuan knew that the immortal world would definitely be swept into a huge storm soon, a storm that would cause all living things to crumble. Yanchuan had already reincarnated many times. This time, Yanchuan didn't want to reincarnate. Yanchuan wanted to quickly inherit all his previous lives and establish himself in the world. The first step was to quickly unify the East Divine Continent. Yanchuan quickly gave the order. Jin Dayu and Hua Guang, who had split up, quickly gathered outside a sect called the Blood Blade Killing Sect. At the peak of the main peak of the Blood Blade Killing Sect, a burly man led a group of disciples covered in blood. Jin Dayu, Hua Guang, I, Blood Blade, will never submit to you. I have always been the one to kill. There is no such thing as submitting to others. Come, my blade once slaughtered 80 cities and killed 160 million people. Come at me if you want to die. The leader of the sect said coldly. 160 million? Hua Guang showed a trace of disdain. Suddenly, Hua Guang's entire body surged with bloodlust. Chapter 1035. Kill? Hua Guang ordered. The army charged at the Blood Saber Killing Sect. The battle lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. The Blood Saber Killing Sect was razed to the ground. The Blood Saber Sect master and 2 million disciples were captured. 2 million people were tied up in a large plaza. Some of the Great Jin army collected the corpses while others watched over the prisoners. Huoguang Jin Deyu, if you dare to touch me, my senior brother will take revenge for me, the blood saber killing sect master roared. Li Si, Huoguang and Jin Deyu stood together. Lord Li, in this head-on battle, my Great Jin suffered heavy casualties as well. Huoguang said with a frown. Many died this time, but there will be fewer next time. Perhaps we won't have to die. Li Si said with a faint smile. Oh. Look around, Li Si said with a smile. Huoguang and Jin Deyu looked around and saw some cultivators hiding in the distant mountains and forests. Are they from the other sects? The disciples of the middle and inferior sects? Huoguang asked with an excited expression. Li Si nodded. Kill all of these 2 million prisoners. Li Si said seriously. Kill all of them? More than half of them surrendered just now. We were able to take down the sect so quickly because they surrendered. How can we kill these people who surrendered? Huoguang said in shock. Why can't we kill them? Surrender? Why not surrender earlier? Why surrender now? Since His Majesty has given that order, it is clear that His Majesty is very anxious now. We should share His Majesty's burden and make an example out of them. Let's use their deaths as a warning to those sects that are still hesitating. Jin Deyu and Huoguang exchanged glances. Although they were somewhat unwilling, they nodded in the end. Men, kill all of these rebels. Huoguang ordered. Yes. A tsunami of responses answered. The Great Jin army immediately moved. Don't kill me. Don't kill me. I surrender. Huoguang, I surrender. Don't kill me. The prisoners shouted. However, Huoguang, Jin Deyu, and the others were unmoved. The two of them had killed countless people in the world of immortals. When the disciples of the various sects saw how Great Jin was handling things, their eyes went wide. How is that possible? Those people have already surrendered. Why are you still killing them? Great Jin, you're too cruel. Baojin. Li Si held a green feather fan and stood on the peak of a mountain, coldly looking around. Baojin? So what if I'm going to get rich? Even though I'm labeled as cruel, I, Dezhen, want you all to be afraid, everyone to be afraid. Anyone who dares to provoke my Great Jin sect will not be spared. How dare you resist Dezhen? Kill, kill, kill. Wherever Dezhen went, the myriad sects had to submit. Kill. Bao Jin's reputation spread like wildfire after today. For a time, the remaining sects of the East Divine Continent were inexplicably terrified. Timely. The middle-level sects that had secretly submitted to Great Jin immediately announced their submission to Great Jin in a high-profile manner. Two middle-level sects that had been hesitating finally agreed to submit to the Great Jin Empire. When some of the lower-level sects saw the arrival of Great Jin's army, their sect leaders led their elders to welcome them with smiles. There were also lower-level sects that rebelled. If they dared to resist, Great Jin's army would leave no one alive. Kill, kill, kill. The speed of Great Jin's army increased by several times in an instant. Of course, the price was that Great Jin's reputation was no longer as benevolent and righteous as before. Chapter 1036. It was a lower-level sect. Sect Master, it's not good. Baojin is here. He has already destroyed the lower-level sect in the south. The vanguard will arrive in less than 2 days. A disciple ran into the sect master's hall in terror. His tone was as though he had seen a ghost. When the disciple shouted, the expressions of the elders in the hall changed. Sect Master, Great Jin's policy has changed. If they do not submit, they will kill the entire sect. No one will be left alive. An elder said with an ugly expression. What should we do? The other elders said anxiously. Should we ask for help from the other sects? Ask for help? They dare to come? Sect leader, let's just submit. The sect master's expression darkened. Bastard, how can my sect submit to Baojin? When the sect master shouted, the elders in the hall all had ugly expressions. At this time, another disciple ran in from outside the hall. Sect master, it's not good. My sect's disciples are shouting at the foot of the mountain. They are asking sect master to submit to Great Jin. What? The sect master's expression changed. Yes, half of the disciples are asking sect master to submit. Wherever the ruthless Dezhen passed by, those who did not submit would be massacred. Not a single person was spared. Those who tried to escape would be issued with arrest warrants. Their portraits would be sent out in all directions. Anyone who dared to harbor a criminal would be killed. The entire sect was slaughtered. For a time, the entire East Divine Continent was shrouded in Great Jin's shadow. Of course, it was another matter for the people of Great Jin. At this time, Great Jin advocated the policy of being a saint inside, a king outside. People outside Great Jin were panicking, but inside Great Jin it was peaceful. The policy was even helpful to the people inside. High-level cultivation methods, secret manuals, spells, and Yao arts were continuously provided to the people. As long as they made a certain amount of contributions, Great Jin would not be stingy with giving heaven-level cultivation methods. With Bao Jin's reputation, Great Jin's expansion was many times faster. In the blink of an eye, there were only 2 middle-level sects left resisting. However, these 2 middle-level sects were in chaos because of Great Jin's brutality. Great Jin's attitude was that those who resisted would be killed. Even if they surrendered, they would die. Now, many ordinary disciples were panicking and begging their masters to surrender. I don't want to die. There were also many disciples who saw the stubbornness of the sects and quickly fled. For a time, the 2 middle sects were like a sheet of loose sand. Dezhen was still as ruthless as before and continued to wage war. The speed of Bao Jin's army was too fast, and the news had not yet spread throughout the world. At this moment, the world was paying more attention to the Dazhao Holy Land. Ever since Mohina Dojin lost to Yanchuan, the Great Zhao Holy Land lost a lot of merit. At the same time, the strongest experts from all over the world were about to arrive at the Great Revelation Holy Land. Yang Zigu sat alone in the Great Zhao Palace anxiously. 300 Xie Yong stood in the hall, protecting Yang Zigu. The loss of merit in the sky had already explained everything. Father had lost in Yanjing. This defeat made Yang Zigu extremely fearful. If his father was defeated, then wouldn't he be finished as well? Therefore, Yang Zigu brought these evil spirits with him wherever he went. I don't know how father is. Yang Zigu was afraid. Swish. Suddenly, a black light shot into the hall. 10,000 Wonders Demonic Lotus? Yang Zigu's expression changed. Whoosh. Mohina Dojin's soul appeared in the black chi emitted by the 10,000 Wonders Demonic Lotus, but at this moment, his soul had already been dyed black. Father, you're back. Yang Zigu said excitedly. But at this moment, Mohina Dojin looked at Yang Zigu coldly. Father, why are you looking at me like that? Yang Zigu said in surprise. Zhizhou, do you know why father has doted on you since you were young? Yang Zigu said in a deep voice. Ah. Father has given you so much since you were young. Now it's time for you to return it to father. Mohina Dojin's soul said coldly. Father, what did you say? I came back just in time. 361 years today, Zhizhou, I have waited for 361 years for your body. Now it is mine. Mohina Dojin said coldly. While speaking, Mohina Dojin's hand entered Yang Zigu's body. Because it was a soul, his right hand seemed to be able to penetrate Yang Zigu's body and directly enter Yang Zigu's body. Boom. Yang Zigu suddenly split into two. His body and soul were suddenly separated, and Mohina Dojin grabbed his soul. Whoosh. Mohina Dojin's soul rushed into Yang Zigu's body. Boom. All 361 acupoints on Mohina Dojin's body suddenly emitted a dazzling light. Mohina Dojin merged with Yang Zigu's body, but Yang Zigu's soul was stunned for a moment as he stared blankly at the body in front of him. No, it's not like this. Yang Zigu's soul said in horror. Chapter 1037. Yang Zigu's soul stared blankly at his own body in front of him. Did his father steal his body? He had spoiled him for so many years because of his physique? No, father, it's not like that, father. Yang Zigu immediately cried out. Losing his physical body, Yang Zigu only panicked, but his father's betrayal made Yang Zigu feel as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. In the past, Mohina Dojin held up the sky for Yang Zigu. This sky allowed Yang Zigu to do whatever he wanted. Even when his brothers died, Mohina Dojin was indifferent, as long as Yang Zigu was fine. So, this was not because he spoiled Yang Zigu, it was as if the sky had suddenly fallen. Noisy! Mohina Dojin coldly shouted. Bang! Yang Zigu's soul was suddenly thrown to the ground, almost dissipating. Lying on the ground, Yang Zigu's eyes were filled with fear. At this moment, Mohina Dojin's body was emitting golden light, and the 361 acupuncture points were emitting white light. The 10,000 Wonders Demon Lotus was slowly rotating above his head. Boom! Mohina Dojin opened the roof with a palm, and immediately the 361 acupuncture points produced a huge suction force, connecting to the sun in the sky. From the sun, 361 rays of light shot down, directly towards Mohina Dojin's 361 acupuncture points. Mohina Dojin flew up into the sky, and stood in mid-air, madly absorbing the power bestowed by the sun. His entire body was surrounded by a huge fireball. Rumble. The surrounding air was stacked with waves rolling out in all directions. Mohina Dojin was borrowing the power of the sun to break through. Middle void stage. Upper emptiness realm. 9 blazing suns body, which corresponds to the number of suns. For this body I prepared for thousands of years. The phoenix gave birth to 8 children, but I allowed her to give birth to the 9th child. Although the phoenix died because of this, she finally gave birth to the 9th child. Rumble. When Mohina Dojin broke through, a large number of dark clouds appeared in the sky. However, under the scorching sun, these dark clouds disappeared in an instant. Mohina Dojin's strength was still increasing. Human celestial stage. Mohina Dojin said excitedly. Boom. Mohina Dojin was enveloped in a fireball. I've finally become an immortal. Forge for me. Mohina Dojin's eyes suddenly turned cold. The flames of the sun suddenly surged toward the myriad wonder demonic lotus above his head. The power of the underworld, the might of the sun, traversed the void and refined the lotus god with fire. Mohina Dojin suddenly shouted. Whoosh. With a wave of his hand, endless spiritual chi quickly gathered from all directions and rushed toward Mohina Dojin. They were forcefully extracted to help Mohina Dojin refine the myriad wonder demonic lotus. He even wanted to use the power of the sun to refine the lotus god. Boom. The flames of the sun crazily refined the myriad wonder demonic lotus. Mohina Dojin raised his head and looked at the myriad wonder demonic lotus above his head with a ferocious expression. You want to refine me? A disdainful voice came from the myriad wonder demonic lotus. Lotus god, you want to control me? Do you think I will be controlled by you? I have the 9th physique, which is the same as the sun. You have already been transferred into the sun's body. How does it feel to be in the sun's body? Mohina Dojin laughed loudly. The myriad wonder demonic lotus was silent. Chapter 1038. Lotus goddess, every time I borrow your strength, my body will be corroded by the evil aura. It must be your doing. Now, I'm going to refine you and strip you of all your strength. All of your strength will be mine, Tao Monarch Black Sun laughed wildly in excitement. Even if you are a powerful existence in the immortal realm, you will not be able to escape from the sun. The sun that has existed since ancient times is eternally powerful. Mohina Dojin laughed wildly. Just as Mohina Dojin was getting excited, the voice of the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus came again. The eternal sun? Not to mention that I am not in the sun. Even if your sun was in front of me, I could still smash it with a palm. You ain't want to refine me? Mohina Dojin's face changed. If you really had the ability to move me into the sun, I would have to thank you. But you're still far from it. I was the one who crushed the sun of the netherworld back then. The sun of the world of the living, you just didn't have the time. I gave you power and you actually want to rebel? Do you know that I can give you power and I can also take it away from you? Moreover, I can take it away from you outside of the control of fate. Lotus God said coldly with the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus. Mohina Dojin's body suddenly trembled and he cried out in horror. Because Mohina Dojin suddenly realized that he could not move. No. Mohina Dojin cried out in horror. Mohina Dojin's soul was suddenly squeezed out of Yangzigu's body. But this time the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus did not come out with him. No. Mohina Dojin cried out in horror. Bang. Mohina Dojin's soul scattered and in an instant, it was crushed into powder and disappeared from this world. Whoosh. Yangzigu's body produced a huge suction force. Yangzigu's soul was suddenly sucked in by the suction force and attached to his body again. Only the soul of the main body can better control the main body. Yangzigu, from today onwards, you will do all the things under the heavens for me. The Lotus God's voice came from the 10,000 Wonders lotus. After Yangzigu regained his body, he immediately rejoiced. Mohina Dojin was cold by nature, and Yangzigu was also cold by nature. Seeing Mohina Dojin being destroyed, he didn't have a trace of sympathy. Yes. Yangzigu shouted. Your physique is special. I can give you more power. The limit of the Mao Sun physique is the peak of Shen Immortal. But you are different. With my power, you can reach the level of an Earth Immortal or even a Sky Immortal. Lotus Goddess said. Yes. Yangzigu shouted excitedly. On the other side, due to Mohina Dojin's death, the great Zhao Holy Land's Merit Cloud Sea rumbled loudly. Boom! The Merit Cloud Sea suddenly exploded. Merit quickly flowed towards the southeast. When an emperor died, there would be no luck. However, when a sect leader died, only half of the merit would be lost. This was because the sect leader could write down a successor on the Tiansu. If he died, the Tiansu would automatically be transferred to him. However, Mohina Dojin was too selfish and didn't write down a successor. Once Mohina Dojin died, the Tiansu was useless. The endless merit collapsed and flowed away. And the direction it flowed towards was none other than the Great Qin Empire. There was a huge net of fate in the heavens and earth. It was extremely dense and all karma was within it. The net of fate naturally calculated who killed who. Logically speaking, it should be the Lotus God who killed Mao Sun. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.